2, 3, 4. Cheech and Manny Show. Cheech and Manny Show.
All right, welcome back to the Cheech and Manny Show, otherwise known as the Music Show, or sometimes the True Crime Show. But we are joined by, I guess we would call this the Joe special episode. We are joined with Joe Silkman. I'm gonna throw it to my co-host, the People's Bassist, Cheech. What's going on, brother?
Manner, what's going on? How's everything?
Dude, life is
Everything
good.
everything is going good here. Played some bass today. Hung out with my beautiful daughter, who I'm gonna get later. Just want to throw a shout out on September 17th. Pottersfield BX will be playing at a place called Prohibition in Massapequa, Long Island at 7:45. So anybody's out there and wants to check it out, well, the show will air already, but just a plug,
Amazing.
And we had a great show on Sunday at Freebirds in White Plains.
Amazing.
Yeah.
How often do you play at Freebirds?
We've been doing it like every other Sunday, and we're hooking up with some of these people in Long Island, so we might be getting more shows in Long Island, which is cool. There's all original music too, which is like, to me, so important. Like, I'm just so, for me, burnt out of playing covers my whole life that I'm glad I'm doing original music and making it like our own. And we do covers too, but we try to have fun with the covers, like Alice Cooper and the Stones and stuff. So I'm really enjoying playing original music right now. And there he is, Silky Joe, Joe Silkman.
Yeah.
He is going to lead the show with so many great ideas. We had many phone calls about the show. Both me and Manny and Joe, we've been talking about a great idea. You came up with a great question, which is definitely gonna make us think a lot, which is fantastic about our the topic of the show is our favorite concerts, but it's gonna lead to, like, I guess the question is involved with the favorite concerts, and right, to some degree, or
yeah.
songs. Yeah.
Yeah, it has to do with music and relationships.
Yeah, definitely.
For
Right.
sure.
I think that's pretty key because the best music is tied to us emotionally. So it tends to leave an impact. And I know, and now we're going to be talking, this is a concert episode because you're going to follow up with the question, was that song played at a concert? And like, probably what was the experience? And you two, since you guys have more experience with life, this will be a fascinating conversation.
And I just got to say, I think I sent you guys on my pole and my cellar the Seance graffiti, because Seance will be coming up on my favorite concerts, because that was my first concert ever, was with the band in like 9th grade. So
that's great.
Yeah, and the fun thing was when you're young, going to your first concert, you're with your boys, you're having fun, you're all into it, and especially if you're in a band, you're like, that's gonna be us in the next 10 years. Your dreams kind of come true watching Motley Crue on stage.
When we get into the relationship aspect, that's kind of related to music, I think Manny's experience with psychology will come in handy.
I think that's where I'm going to contribute to this conversation because actually I have my own story with that because in terms of like the moment that music made an impact and like you kind of tie it with life, that didn't happen to me maybe after high school, but because I really wasn't listening. And it's crazy because it kind of speaks, I would wonder how this generation is in terms of their music, but this one's going to make me think because I really didn't tie music and relationships together until like late, like high school, like after, if anything. So
I always, if I had a crush on a girl, I would always like play music and think about that girl when the music's playing. Whether it was Iron Maiden or like Led Zeppelin, Good Times, Bad Times. It's like,
Eddie reminded you of that one girl.
what's that?
Eddie reminded you of that one girl.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, like Revelations. There's a line in there. She came to me with a serpent's kiss, with the eyes of the sun glowing on her lips, and I was like, "Oh my God, that I'm gonna write that down. And I'm gonna put that in a card and give it to this girl and say I wrote it." you know. But little did she know, a serpent's kiss is from an Aleister Crowley book. But anyway,
So let me give you the question.
yeah.
And I don't know who's going to want to tackle it first, but here's the question.
Okay.
What song reminds you of your first love, and have you seen it performed live in concert?
Ooh, that is a good. Okay, this has to be love or puppy love or like where are we
Well,
at?
that's where Manny's going to come in, because we're going to later on talk
Yeah.
about puppy love, first love, and true love. And
Okay.
first love and true love are very different. And I'm so glad I did a little bit of research on this, because it really answered a lot of questions for me about the progression of love and relationships. It was really incredible. I mean, I could go first,
Yeah.
because mine's kind of a trick, because for me, the song that reminds me of my first love is "You've Got a Friend" by Carole King. But I
Tapestry.
really related to the James Taylor version. But
Mm-hmm.
it's because of the song that I've chosen never to see James Taylor in concert, because of the memories the song triggers. And it's not James Taylor's fault. He had a great song that he sang that was written by one of his good friends, Carole King.
Yeah.
So obviously what happened was, it was a breakup, and my first love had broken up with me, and I had kind of emotionally shut down. It was almost like she was talking with me, and it was just like there was a wall. I was just like, I couldn't comprehend what was happening. So obviously this came out of nowhere, but
Right.
I couldn't be reasoned with. So after a few days, I guess she had given a book to one of my roommates, who gave it to me from her, and it was called "You've Got a Friend," and it kind of dissected the lyrics of the song and the emotions of a relationship. And I kind of dismissed it. I dismissed this gift, this book, thinking, well, it's the cliche. She just wants to be friends. So I never read it. But the funny thing is, I never could throw it out. I had it on my bookshelf for 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, until I moved to this last place. So I never read it, and I've never chosen to listen to the song. I mean, sometimes when it's on, I just tune it out. I tune it out of my head.
I
And
do
I
that
don't
with a lot
heard
of.
it, you know.
I
Yeah.
have problems, at the temple when they're playing all these songs from the '90s and stuff, and I have all these memories of past relationships that I'm like, oh God, I don't want to hear this.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, when I was preparing for the podcast, I actually read the lyrics. I Googled them and looked them out.
Yeah.
And it turns out, all these years, and this is 45 years, which is good, because on this podcast, we have three different generations
Yeah.
that can talk about things. And we had an interesting conversation about how you think that this current generation, and like the dating scene, because of all the technology and the immediacy and everything, it's so different from when, I was younger, and we had payphones and we had landlines. That was our
Yeah.
communication, you
Yeah.
know. But it turns out I was totally wrong about my first love's intent. She was actually trying to, soften the blow of breaking up with me. It turns out she probably did the right thing, because I was very selfish. I was very immature, and I exhibited that behavior. But what happened was, by not really dealing with it, it's cost me what could have been a lifelong friendship, and I will always regret that, because there was no reconciliation, or just couldn't get it together. So, like, I look at the lyrics, and they're cliche. You think they're a cliche, but they're not. It's, winter, spring, summer, or fall. All you have to do is call, and I'll be there. Yes, I will. Right now, looking back on the person that said that to me, the first love, I think she genuinely meant that. I don't think she was trying to hurt me.
Right.
And, so what's interesting is that, Carole King writes, keep your head together and call my name out loud. Soon you'll hear me knocking at your door. And
Right.
obviously my problem was I wasn't keeping my head together.
Mm.
Carole King wrote that song in response to James Taylor's Fire and Rain,
Right.
which I find really interesting,
Right.
because apparently he wrote the line, "I've seen lonely times when I could not find a friend, but I always thought I'd see you again." So that's James Taylor talking.
About
Carole
Carol.
King wrote the song, gave
Is
him
he,
the song, and said, "Here's your friend."
is he talking about Carol King in that song? Because I was trying to analyze that song for years. I couldn't
No, he's
figure it out.
actually talking about a childhood friend who died.
In a mental hospital or something, right?
Well, he was the song that Joe's referring to is Fire and Rain, which is kind of autobiographical. It talks about the dissolution of his mental health, his
Plane crash.
no, that was his band that kind of dissolved, and then
Uh,
his childhood friend. But it was pretty much Fire and Rain is kind of technically a dark song. So that's actually fascinating how Carole King, in Joe's right, she wrote it in response to that. And
yeah.
the Taylor that, you've got a friend in me. It's kind of like that Toy Story song, You've Got a Friend in Me, but that's like the kid version of Carole King's majestic song. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, that's what ended up happening. Yeah, Joe's right. Like that was a reference, and the Fire and Rain song is a reference to one of Taylor's friends. So the whole song is
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah, I think James Taylor, the woman that died, was actually in that band, and he suffered depression, and he
Yeah,
also was trying to recover from heroin addiction.
yeah,
Right.
So, he had a full plate, and he survived it, and he was
Yeah.
okay. So
Another song too. I've been trying to figure out too. "You're So Vain," the Carly Simon song. It's about
oh, sure.
supposedly Mick Jagger, supposedly other people. It's a
and it's interesting because Mick Jagger, you can hear his background vocals on that song.
yeah, yeah.
Fascinating. Like who
That's
is
always a mystery. Like, who's it about?
right, right.
I always thought it was Warren Beatty, the actor.
That's what I heard too. I always that always pops up when you.
And also, Carly Simon married James Taylor too eventually. It's kind of
Oh yeah, so there's a connection here. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
and it wasn't about him. I don't think maybe.
No, but Joe, man, that's pretty good. I
Yeah.
love that song. You've got a friend. Yeah, it's like such a powerful message, and yeah, it's crazy how you kind of said all these years, like what could have been, right? Like that regret. And I don't know, Joe, like when you listen, have you listened to You've Got a Friend, James Taylor, recently?
Today.
Wow.
Today. I think I'm okay. I think I listened to it today, and I'm like, and all of a sudden I looked up, well, is he still touring? And sure enough, he toured New York earlier in the summer.
Yeah.
He did a couple of shows in New York, and
I'm
he
just
did a full tour.
a kid. Yeah. Yeah.
I just got to say, Joe, with this, my brain has been going back in my Akashic records of like memories of this type of thing. And I think if you YouTube um the song "What Could Have Been" by the band Little Texas, they're a country band, came out in the '90s or early millennium. It is one of the saddest, coolest songs because it talks about a relationship that people had, like we're talking about now, like during World War II, and they had this great love relationship, and then they broke up and they went their separate ways. And at the end of the song, they reunite as older people, as like really old people, and it's just such a heart wrenching type of song. I don't know. I just got a Akashic record thing.
I'll have to check that out. So
Little
my answer to the question is that I've never seen it performed live in concert, but I think that I've healed myself with this process, and I think I could probably do it now. But all this time, I really thought that I was kind of the victim, of this breakup, and it turns out that in many ways I was actually the jerk, which we can get into later. But
Mm.
We've all
yeah,
been there. We've all been.
yeah. But I'm hoping, I don't know if you guys want to answer the question as well, but then I want to get into the definition of what is first love,
Right.
because
Well,
it's different from the puppy love, which is kind of like an ideal type thing and an infatuation or a
yeah.
crush, or true love, which is very different. It's very different.
Oh,
Yeah.
much different. I think that's like I don't know if you want to equate it, but before we go there, actually, before we go to the Cheech, do you have a song, man? I know you got
No, yeah, G-rated because I know we have a lot of great fans out there,
yeah, we're gonna have some young
and I want to say thank you the Cheech and Manny fans and the Cheech fans that are out there that made some pictures, and we got some Joe Silkman fans out there too. You know,
Now,
love it. Thank you for the pictures, guys. I love it. Keep it coming. Um, so for me, I'll start off with I only, I'm not gonna go. There's so many different girls and stuff that I've liked through the years. I'm not Walt Chamberlain. I wish I was, but you know, uh, you know, uh, or Gene Simmons. What is it? The book that they slept with like 1,000 women or something like that. I think Walt Chamberlain wrote that in.
actually, and speaking of that, I think Gene Simmons, and I think the record also is Lemmy from Motorhead.
Yeah.
There's
No,
a
I think Walt Chamberlain has them all beat. I read his biography, and he was like maybe like 3,000. I don't even know. Some
we
crazy.
talk, but can we talk how those two, like Gene Simmons and like Lemmy, mind you, they're cool. Not
Yeah,
the best looking though, and yet they managed to, get all those women, which is
charmers.
yeah.
For me, I'm gonna start way back. I would say first grade. I think kindergarten. There was a girl named Krista who, when you have that feeling, you don't know what love is, like is. You just think about this girl. In two songs.
That and something that you mentioned was, it's that puppy love, right? It is so innocent.
It's the
It is
most magical
so
thing that ever happens to you.
It's straight out of a fairy tale. Like I would say, because
Yeah.
there's so much innocence in that. Like it's not tainted by cynicism. It's
Hmm.
not tainted by life experience yet, because then you discover, I mean, what love, and we can probably discuss that later. Like what
And
love.
it's not even physical. Like, you're not thinking like we would when you're a teenager.
There's like no I'm trying to keep it G, but there's like
Yeah.
no urges or whatever.
Um, so me, it was just every time I looked at her, I felt happy. I was like, oh my God, she smiled. She was this cute little girl. And I was 6 and she was 6. And on the radio, when my mom would drive us home, I think, oh, man, you got to help me with this one. I think it's you. You are the woman I've always dreamed of. What's that soft rock song? You are the woman that I've always dreamed of. I knew it from the start. I think it's Firefly, fire something.
Wait, what's the lyrics? You are the woman.
Woman I've always dreamed of.
Yeah, so okay. Yeah, classic soft rock song. And by the way, just an aside, soft rock has so much of those like
Oh yeah.
puppy love anthems too, which I'm
What
gonna,
was the band Firefall?
but it's fire. So it's 1976. It's Firefall. You are the woman.
So she'd be in the car, and I'd hear that on the radio, and I'd look at her, and I'd be thinking of that song. So that was definitely magical. And then on her birthday, at her birthday party, I had gone out and I bought her the 45 to Beth by Kiss, and I gave it to her. Um, and then the second, moving up to adolescence, where your mind is changed and grown, we'll keep it G. There was this beautiful girl named Paulette, who I met in religion class, who I knew from my family friend, and my best friend in seance. Because, like I told Joe, seance was around before we were a band. We were a gang. We were just called seance, and we were like a make believe band. And I played the drums, and we were like little kids. So he liked her, but she liked me, and I couldn't help it because she was so pretty. And and I was like, I don't know, Scott, this kid, Scott Harper, I'm gonna go for it, man. Just don't get mad. And he's like, you never get any girls, so you could go for it, all that, that kind of thing. And whenever I saw her, just what I needed popped in my head by the Cars. And I swear, we were hanging out in the song. My best friend's girlfriend was on, and I'm like, oh, I feel like the guy in the song, and jokes. I told Joel that story and stuff. But if just what I needed pops in your head, that's the girl for you. And then, of course, the next would be my baby's mama. I won't say her name, but Zoe's mom. There's too many songs to even go there, but we met through music. We both, she would always be friends with my sister, and we would be friends, and we started to trade tapes, and she gave me a Queensryche DVD, and then I gave her a Fates Warning DVD, and then the rest is history, and we became a couple. So those are my three I'll leave the Motley Crue stories for private.
Wait, dude, if you listen to Queen Strike, like, do you get any like memories or
Oh,
like?
Jet City Woman, or uh, at that time, Operation Mindcrime. No, Empire. Empire had just come out, so the whole album reminds me of her. And Fate's Warning. There's a song called Eye to Eye. It's on Parallels. The album, because we met in '91. We started to date in '91, and Empire was huge by Queensryche. Parallels, and I brought this up on many episodes, was supposed to be Fate's Warning's groundbreaking album, but a little band out of Seattle didn't make that happen. You know, and I got to say, Nirvana. I will definitely say the grunge influence, being together in the '90s with the car radio and stuff. Pearl Jam, Nirvana, going to see the movie Singles, Alice in Chains. So that stuff had a huge influence on, my memory when I hear these songs. And the biggest one is the Goo Goo Dolls, because we met them. We would go and see them in concert. So the biggest influence when I think of her would be the Goo Goo Dolls. And
Right.
oh yeah, it's pretty deep. But we got a kid out of the deal, which is always a wonderful thing.
Listen, that can't be all bad, right?
Thank you, Google Dolls, for making us have a child.
Thank you, Google Dolls. And no, I'm not talking about your ISIS period. Pre-ISIS.
You have one, Manny?
Well, you know what's fun? Let me just like 5 minute. Well, just a quick thing. Like it's crazy because when I was young, I remember like the first moment when I'm like, oh man, like I think Cheech and I were talking, like, oh yeah, I like this weird long hair. Who is that? And it's like the feelings you're trying to kind of like think about, but at like 6 years old. Like I remember I had moments in, and this is crazy, kindergarten, fourth grade, where there were like two girls, and I was like, I feel weird. Like, yeah, but I couldn't, but
Yeah.
nothing, and not even puppy love yet, but definitely getting there. Where I had, you become sort of like not obsessed, but you're like, oh yeah, like if they ask you to play tag with them, you're like, oh yes, yes, like let me,
Heck yeah.
or can be your partner.
Duck, goose.
Yeah, right. Or like any chance, any touch, you're like, whoa, like you get electrified, right? But not, and then when I got to middle school,
Well, I got to say, middle school was always fun when you played spin the bottle. Sometimes it wasn't fun, but it was fun a lot most of the time.
well, okay, but in elementary, like music didn't really play a role. Like I, I really didn't associate, like psychological emotions with music yet, like not yet. When I got to middle school, like obviously, adolescence, hormones, and then guys, and including myself, started to look at the opposite sex. And we're like, whoa, like, or like something awakened. But this time, like sometimes it wasn't so innocent,
Yeah.
right? But still, music. Like at that point, I got exposed to the music of the day. Hip hop was really popular, and actually, this is interesting. I think like hip hop and rap influence sometimes how I saw women, although
Yeah.
I didn't know it subconsciously,
Hmm.
but it influenced how to see them, right? So it's like that happened, but yet there was no emotional. So that didn't happen
Right.
until it didn't happen, and I kind of remember this moment where the song was when I discovered the Beatles. They and their all their songs, like they talk about um that puppy love romance, right?
Oh yeah.
Right. And one of the songs that stuck with me, and then this is the song that conceptualized what I felt all these years, but couldn't really kind of like describe, was "And I Love Her."
Yeah.
That beautiful song. And there was one girl in senior year who I was like head over heels obsessed for. And it was a mix of puppy love slash first crush for sure, like
Yeah.
serious. But even before that, I had my actual uh like crush actually in eighth grade. But it was probably one of the most amazing summers. It was like the summer of love.
Yeah. I think that's when they start to kick in, middle school.
Yeah,
Like, that's yeah.
it
Because I had
happened to
mine.
me.
I had mine. one of mine around 8th grade too.
Right. But the only sad thing is that I didn't associate it with music. Like not yet. Like I was listening to music of the day, like She and I. This was back in eighth grade, the summer of eighth grade before I started freshman year. First, like technically a relationship. It was like so it was like so summer romance,
Yeah, beautiful.
And then before
That's so
fall,
I'm good, guys. I'm good.
good.
Yeah.
But what's funny is before I started my freshman year, broke up. And I was like, and again, no music to conceptualize this. I couldn't
Yeah.
do it. But I definitely felt sad. I was like, damn, like, okay. But like I said, but I didn't really feel that until I started listening to the Beatles, like sort of like junior, senior year. And then when there was that one woman that I thought, mind you, this is like 18-year-old me. She's the one. Oh, and of course, me being dumb didn't like ask her out, or you always kind of like dodge that. Like you want them to you're obsessed with them and you want them to like you, but then you you don't you don't have the cojones to ask them out.
And then when you find out they like you first, it's like, oh my God, this is a great
No, and
feeling.
you fumble it, and you fumble it, and then that's what ended up happening. So, but I associated her with the Beatles, but I discovered the Beatles before that. But there were certain songs that reminded me of her, right? So, but it didn't taint my taste because then I really started to get into, you know, internal, subconscious, like
Yeah.
man here, and I really started to like then connect music and emotions and all that. But so I
Mm.
like that. So and of course, concert wise, I'll be honest with you. Like it's funny. This same girl that I had a huge crush on was one of the reasons why I like Neil Young. So she
Right.
was into Bruce Springsteen, Neil Young, Carole King. She was
Right.
into Joni Mitchell. So she showed me all this music, and I'm me being like, "Oh, I gotta listen to this so I can get to know her." And like,
Yeah.
and I ended up going with her to the Neil Young concert. But afterwards, I really kind of fumbled that where I should have been like more forward and all that relationship stuff or whatever. But that Neil Young, so Neil Young sort of has that connection with me, but it didn't taint my taste in Neil Young. But every time I listen to a Neil Young song, and especially sometimes Carole King, because this
Mm.
person was obsessed with Tapestry.
Oh, me too. Yeah. What a great album.
It was really cool. She was a cool piano player. She managed to learn to play some of the tunes. But it ended up that I don't know. I think she didn't like me, like I thought, and so that ship sailed. But but it's
Yeah.
funny every time I listen to Carole King, especially Tapestry. I love the album, but it reminds me of that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Joni,
Powerful how music can do that, bring that memory back.
which by the way, hip hop did not do. The pop music of my day did not do.
Yeah.
Like it didn't have that power. So this music had a power, and I to explain it would obviously because let's say like in a song like "And I Love Her" by the Beatles,
Yeah.
"And I Love Her" is the embodiment of like that puppy yearning love that the
Yeah.
Beatles in 1960.
It's the complete opposite of More Than a Feeling when Brad Delp is saying, I see that Marianne walking away.
Complete, it's the complete opposite. But
Yeah.
more than a feeling, I feel like is like a sad song in disguise. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Uh, but um or like Motley Crue song, girls, girls, girls.
That's something different. We won't go there. We're keeping it
On
to
the Sunset
I gotta
Strip.
hold
I'm
back the
like,
beast
yo,
here.
what is Sunset Strip? I looked it up. Ooh, like yikes.
I wanna go there.
But and oh my goodness, and the song that it pit, and I began to so any girl I had a crush on, I began associating this song when I was that age.
Yeah.
Want to hold your hand? It's like
Oh, that's the greatest puppy love song
that's
of all
the
time.
epitome, and it's funny. Anytime there was a girl that I would have a crush on, I would associate. And actually, you know what's funny? It influenced, and that's what's interesting. Like I was listening to like hip hop pop of the day.
Right.
For some odd reason, it didn't penetrate my mind. And I was still listening to the contemporary music when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Hip hop and rap was the dominant genre, as well as like the house music genre, right?
Yeah.
Like Avicii, Swedish House Mafia, Calvin Harris,
Yeah.
and other singers like Rihanna, Beyonce.
Swedish House Mafia's lyrics are beautiful when it comes to relationships. You
Yeah.
they really
So
they paint.
sad, but it's so hidden under music that you
Yeah.
don't really notice it. But you're right. Yeah, for sure.
That's what got me into them because it was almost like Boston. They told a story, you know.
Yeah.
Don't you, what was the one? Don't you something girl or something like that? I forget the name of it, but I remember my kid listening to that when she was a little kid, and I was like, I like this.
Yeah, and also another thing to think about, the one that got away. I've had so that girl, the one that turned me on to, actually, and she was responsible. She was a Bruce Springsteen fan and all that stuff. And I discovered Bruce Springsteen in high school, and then she kind of cemented that.
Yeah,
Kinda funny, Bruce Springsteen, also the Born in the USA album reminds me sometimes of her. That one
right, right.
that got away sometimes. But I'm obsessed with Bruce Springsteen, so it's like I really don't mind. And I saw him in concert. And sometimes, but I will say, when I went to see Bruce Springsteen over at MetLife Stadium, just for 1 second, I remember that moment.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
just for one like fleeting moment, that
mhm,
memory, that powerful memory lingers.
yeah,
That's the thing with music and memories. Like once you, but what I'm trying to tell you both is that for some odd reason the music of my time was not hitting me. And actually, there's one more puppy loves trust story. I took a class in 10th grade film class where you make it was like an elective. You make a film, and you learn about film.
yeah,
One girl I was obsessed with. But again, me being an idiot, you don't have the cojones to go ask her out. And you're like, you act all moody, sulky, you're
yeah,
like, man, she doesn't like me, you act all emo. The one song that, this memory still lingers. One of the students in the class turned on Aha's Take on Me. Now,
yeah,
I've heard the song on the radio before. I've heard it before.
yeah,
Obviously, I wasn't listening to that. I was listening more to the music of the day. And you hear and
yeah.
I don't know where it came from. I don't know if it was me or someone turned it on. And somebody was like, "Yo, this song sucks." And she goes like, "What? I love Aha." And then me, I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna start playing it like all the time."
Yeah,
That song also reminds me of that one moment. I love that song, that
yeah,
but it's crazy the music of the day. And I kind of think of the contemporary music that the young generation listens to. Like if you listen to like Kendrick Lamar or
yeah,
like uh or Drake, if it has that impact. When I was growing up, no mental
yeah.
penetration. Looks
I
a
mean, I'm sure the modern day music definitely is impacting a young kid listening to Kendrick Lamar, thinking about the lyrics and putting it to a girl in his head. It has to because that's the power of music. Whether it's like reggaeton or Brazilian jazz or something, somebody in the world is putting that in their head and
You know
they're
what? You know what?
to a
I
girl.
want to argue that really quick. I think, mind you, I say this with so much humor and joke. I feel like that music has no soul, and like the Beatles in the '60s and the '50s and the '70s
I'm
have.
gonna plead the fifth on this. I'm not going there.
Like I'm telling you, when I listen to Bruce, like when I listen to Neil Young's, and it's crazy because, like that high school crush that turned me on to
Mhm.
Joni Mitchell, Carole King. And mind you, I was 18 and nobody was listening to this music. And I had a friend who was an a-hole. He would take my headphones and I'll be listening to like Carole King. And he'd be like, "What the F are you listening to?" Like, I'm like, dude, it's good music. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
like he's making fun of me and all that, but it's just fascinating how that music penetrated my mind and it really got me thinking. Now, the downside is that I began going on this melancholy journey where, like, and kind of being in my head too much, right? And
right.
I'll be like, oh, the music gets me, Like, I remember I discovered the Smiths when I was like early 20s.
Great band.
It's a
Yeah,
great band, but the most of the music is like that sulkiness, kind of like,
yeah. Morrissey. Yeah, yeah.
Morrissey's great at
I
that.
love his solo stuff too. Like
Oh, every day's like Sunday. Like
yeah,
yeah, he captures that
yeah,
spirit, but that's the puppy innocent love. And again, I didn't discover like the all aspects of love till I was like 25, right?
yeah.
And at that point, like deep in music, and there are certain songs that we can talk about later, but that would be my thing. If anything, concert wise, Neil Young. and Bruce Springsteen when I listen to some of their songs, I'm like, whoa, I wonder what she's doing for like 1 second. And I'm like, all right,
Wait. So Joe's question was, did you go to a concert with the girl too?
no, Joe, no, like the concert, right? If you saw the song live,
Just that did you see the song live? You didn't even have to be with the first love
Oh, okay.
or the crush or the puppy love,
Because I had the experience of seeing a song live by the Goo Goo Dolls with the girl I loved, which was extra special.
Mhm.
wait, so Cheech, if you listen to the Google Dolls, I know sometimes at the temple ISIS comes down. Do you kind of
Iris. Oh,
Iris, not ISIS. I said ISIS, thinking of the Bob Dylan
yeah.
song.
There's a couple Goo Goo Dolls songs. What's the one? There's a few of them that they played, the real pop ones. I can't listen to them. It's just too emotional. They're great songs. Or I'll listen to them with a memory of happiness if I'm in a good mood, kind of thing. But then you don't want to like let a sad feeling destroy a great song that you like.
But you do realize that's harder.
It's very hard. It's hard.
Very hard. It's kind of like the five senses and memory go hand in hand. And
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I feel like music is one like smell, but music has a power that when it's associated with memories, like you can listen to a song, it can trigger like a memory episode. And sometimes people can't handle it.
Yeah.
Times that you probably experienced this with like maybe it was so sad that tears start coming out like yeah, I can't listen to this song. Like I've
Oh
seen
yeah.
people
There's
that
there,
do.
there's some like not so much with the Google Docs, but we talked about Cats in the Cradle, and we talked about
That's a great example. Yeah, yeah, like father.
being a parent, and then thinking about my dad, and it's just some songs that are just emotional. And even my uncle who
You and I talk about this Father and Son by Cat Stevens. By
yeah
the way, I'm a son, I have a dad, a very loving dad, but I've never had a son. But I listened to that song and talk about how much soul that song has. There was one day I was listening to it and I started tearing up and I was like, man, why am I tearing up? That's
yeah, it's
great.
deep, it's deep. I have trouble now listening to AC/DC and Aerosmith because my uncle passed away.
I was gonna say, I thought you were gonna say Night Prowler.
uh, no, and it's my uncle's
Oh
favorite
yeah.
song.
Rest
Like
in peace.
me and my uncle would do a lot of crazy shit together with my best friends. And we always played Highway to Hell because we were like, that's where we're going. And I can't hear that song anymore because it just makes me sad when I hear it.
And as an added layer to the sadness of that song, Bon Scott, the last song,
Of course.
you hear him and then you hear what will happen to him. Poor
Yeah.
guy. Kind of like predicting his death on the way, thinking about the afterlife and all that. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's why I wanted to, while we're talking about emotions and all that, go into what the definition of first love is. Because I noticed there's like a correlation between like the age period for first love for a lot of people and music. And I think that, we talk about triggers and how, sometimes you're powerless to the emotions, you know, but first love is the first person you feel deep, intense emotions for, characterized by strong, formative emotions like elation, euphoria, and infatuation. And it
Yeah.
often, like I said, occurs during adolescence or early adulthood, leading to unforgettable experiences and powerful bonds that leave a lasting psychological impact.
Wow. That's
In all
good.
the research I did, and I didn't do much, but I Googled stuff and I read stuff.
I
None
would
of it is sexual. It's all
no,
emotional,
No.
it's all emotion.
psychological. Yeah.
Nowadays
What's frightening nowadays? Just go ahead.
it might be sexual
I
nowadays.
was gonna say
You know.
nowadays, and actually because of the music, you will have a fifth grader listening to a song that with explicit lyrics and then thinking, okay, I feel this way. That must be love, right? Like they'll equate this and to add more um injury, dating apps, social media, like
Yeah.
that has caused like havoc. And I know obviously like being that young, I hope they're not on dating apps, but that sort of sets up what's going to end up happening.
Well, that's where the parents got to come in and monitor them. Like
What do you two think? Do you think nowadays parents are not parenting? What do you guys?
no, I don't. I think they're in their own worlds. Like when I was a kid, singing, "My name is Lucifer, please take my hand." Mother's like, "What are you saying? Don't say that name in this house." Oh,
My
okay.
dad would do the same thing.
But they were listening. I don't. I shouldn't say that. I think everybody is maybe just so addicted to the phone that they're just letting they're not really like watching what their kids are listening to because it's not on MTV. If it was on MTV like back in the day, we would be watching the TV, and if something came on, oh, change that. We don't want to see that. Madonna showing off something. Now you don't know what your kid. It's not the parents' fault. 100%. Your kid's looking at reels all day or listening to music, so it's not the kid's fault. It's not the
Well,
parents' fault.
Well, that's the thing because, and for me, it's fascinating because I think I agree with what Joe said with your statistic that when you're in elementary, right, you're just a kid, you're a child. So when these feelings happen, you haven't matured at no level yet. There's no mental maturity yet. You haven't, obviously, puberty has not entered.
No.
So you have these feelings, and I think we all agree that that could be a sense of that super innocent love that in a way will never return once
Yeah.
you will never return. And then when you hit adolescence, if assuming that you avoid bad influences, you start having these explosive emotions, and I feel like
Mhm.
middle school, I remember that was a big period about crushes, and I remember from middle school, it's like that used to be everything, but it was so. And again, the Beatles, "I Want to Hold Your Hand,"
That's the best song.
John
And
Lennon and McCartney did
I
a
think
good job.
another thing to defend parents today, like I always heard what my kid was listening to because she didn't have earbuds. It was coming out of the phone. This is before like earbuds. So I was like, she'd be cranking up Swedish House Mafia and the Chain Smokers, who I love just because of my kid. And then crazy music like um, anime stuff like that. But now, so I knew what she was listening to. She wasn't listening to something really crazy like little Uzi Vert or something like that. You know what I mean? Um,
No,
or
and it's
or
crazy. You
or
look,
or,
no, and
or,
you look at the
or even
lyrics of Little Mix.
Deicide or some black metal band that I would have been into, but now the kids got the earbuds in, so you don't know what they could be on any crazy thing, and you don't know what they're doing. So I think parents maybe aren't really focused on that so much. You know, my opinion on that because it's hard to see. It's hard to monitor. I was hard to monitor my kid 10, 12 years ago. I can't imagine now.
Oh yeah.
You know, can't imagine with the way social media is.
But I
Well,
think
getting back to first love. Oh, go ahead.
no, like adolescent love. I think we both agree it's like that powerful. And again, it's great. I love it how you guys have music. And for me, that wasn't a thing, but I remember the powerful like crushes and it's crazy. It began to influence who I was. I had to be cool to impress, right? And literally changes yourself.
Oh
So I
yeah,
can imagine the influence of music and and for me, I remember to be perfectly honest with you, I don't remember the music of my middle school years. The only ones I remember, and again, had slight to do with a girl that I was starting to have crushes with, that my other friend also had a crush on. So we kind of had like a rivalry, but like not really.
yeah.
But it was that jealousy triangle thing. But I remember Good Charlotte's "I Just Want to Live." I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is a corny one, but I should not have been listening to the song, but it really did make an impact. Snoop Dogg's "Drop It Like It's Hot" from sixth grade. But it's crazy, and the girl liked that song. So what ended up happening was that my other friend made this CD. He actually made a CD. He burned all the songs on the CD. He gave a copy to me and that girl, and like we kind of had this like circle where we listened to this. Also, what's another band that she liked, and it kind of influenced me and my friend too, Lincoln Park, and she was
Mhm.
singing and she was saying, she loved the way the lead singer sang, like
Yeah.
talking about, and I was like, oh wow, maybe I should listen to more Linkin Park. And either way, Numb, I remember that song from sixth grade. I think, even though I don't know anything, that song is sad, and I don't know anything about the lyrics at that age, but I associated with that friendship circle and like her as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, if I had to take, but really, but then after it didn't penetrate anymore, like music.
Yeah. You know, it sucks too, rejection. Like I remember being in high school, uh like I said, I'm going to bring up Sans a lot because we were the rock stars of high school, but it didn't mean anything to the cheerleaders. And the cheerleaders were always like the hottest chicks you wanted to get with, but they didn't like the guys trying to grow their long hair with the Metallica shirts on. So I gave this one girl a ballad by this band Vandenberg. You guys probably never heard of them. And the song's called Burning Heart. It's just like beautiful ballad, and I gave it to her on tape, and she was like, what the hell is this? You don't have any, whatever people were listening to. Guys riding their IROCs listening to the TKA and in these house music, like, was the big thing. So I got a lot of that kind of like rejection from the real hot cheerleaders that were like not gonna have it, you know. So, but
You're
Well,
like from subdivisions.
yeah, yeah. Or there was, like you said, we won't mention her name, but there was always that metal girl, that would always, be around. But
No,
she,
actually, that also reminds me of actually, what's another cute song that is about this? Teenage Dirtbag. Cause I'm a
that's the greatest.
teenage dirtbag.
I was the teenage dirtbag, and I did meet my equivalent of a teenage dirtbag in high school, which is cool, So that song does fit me,
I
I
get
like
you
Iron
tickets made.
Baby.
That's such a great song. But you
It's
know what's funny?
genius.
I'm happy you discovered that, but I feel like that's not a reality for most people. There's
No,
there's
no.
really no girl that likes Rush or Iron Maiden or Genesis or Yes.
Found a few well, I married one, eventually, but in high school, I did find a few that did like that, and
As an aside too, Cheech, I remember in high school, if you listen, when I began listening to that music, dude, people started to isolate me.
oh yeah.
And I remember there was a metalhead, kind of looks like you. He was a metalhead. I remember Slayer shirts,
Hmm.
Iron Maiden shirts, black, but sadly he had no friends. And he had long hair like you. Like he definitely was. And I think he played instruments too. And he would have, after a certain teacher who was also into metal, and he actually showed us Tom Sawyer, our civics teacher. I remember he would have conversations with him after
Yeah.
class or before
Well,
class.
see, with me, it was different because I grew up in the heart of the 80s, like, so metal was like the scene, the way, so like you had your hip hop kids listening to the Run DMC, like the B-boys, they would dress like Run DMC.
We're dressed in the tracksuits,
Yeah.
right?
And then you had the metalheads like me. We didn't have, we were growing our hair, like say in ninth and 10th grade, and we had the Metallica shirts on, and there'd be a few girls, or even some of the cheerleaders that would like Bon Jovi or like some of the guys with the long hair. If a girl ever made a comment about your hair, like, oh, you got cool hair, I was, yes, I might be in with this one, you know. But yeah, so when you grew up in that era, the scene was so important. Like Metallica ruled the 80s, Iron Maiden ruled the 80s. Girls liked them, guys liked them, Bon Jovi was in the girls world, that was in my era the king of, Bon Jovi. And he had some good songs. I would never wear a Bon Jovi t-shirt, but I would listen to him. I love some of his stuff.
Bon Jovi,
Yeah, I like a lot of Bon Jovi.
it's my wife's celebrity crush.
Yeah, he's Bruce Springsteen. He's the modern day Springsteen, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The metal Springsteen, if you want to call him that.
He is, yeah. He's like, because he's from New Jersey, and he has like that song, Living on a Prayer. It's kind of like a Springsteen song.
And he put on a show. I mean, I seen him in concert. I didn't go to see him. I went to see the opening act. How sad is that? A band called Keel. they opened for him, and then I left after we played Runaway. I was like, okay, you know, we were just like, let's get out of here. But what I saw, he was about 4 or 5 songs in, and he really, Richie Sambora was phenomenal guitar player. You know, that was the thing we used to do with certain bands. Like we would maybe go just to see the opening acts and then leave when like the Bon Jovis came on. When I forgot what other band it was that we went and seen, and we left there like when Dokken opened up for I mean it was Aerosmith. I saw Dokken, they were huge at the time. They had the single called The Hunter, and Aerosmith was so amazing. But like we're sitting there watching Aerosmith, and they're doing all the new stuff, and we're like, man, this is boring. Come on, dream on, walk this way, you know. And then we would leave, go outside, come back in, and watch that.
As an aside, though, but Aerosmith, I was listening to, I love 80s Aerosmith, and like their album Permanent Vacation
That's
is
the tour I saw.
really good. Like,
Yeah.
but I can see what you mean. Like, it's like if I go to a concert, but I went their old stuff, but they're not playing the old stuff, they're just playing the new.
And
Like,
do you know Joe Perry just played at the Capitol? The Joe Perry Project.
did he play already? I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like when I had gotten done with
Also on the
Mirrors,
side, Steven Tyler, I saw the performance of the Black Sabbath song. He looks
yeah,
fantastic.
that guy's unbelievable.
I cannot believe he actually aged gracefully.
Yeah, he for all the bad stuff he did, he's still kicking it, and he's one of the greatest frontmen. I remember, I stayed for most of the show for that tour, and he was kicking ass. And they were smart. They did Permanent Vacation, and then they did the hits afterwards, but they didn't do anything off of Rocks. Toys in the Attic, they might have done a few songs. Of course, they did the Dream On. They didn't do a lot of old stuff in the 80s when I saw them. And then I was like, oh, after that, I was like, I don't want to see Aerosmith anymore, because I can't take it. I need them to rock. But one of the greatest rock bands of all time, man, in the 70s.
I agree. Yeah. Oh, just Toys in the Attic is
Oh, God, yeah.
perfect album.
I mean, Sweet Emotion, that's a Subdivision song.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you listen to the lyrics, that guy, that character in the song is trying to hook up, and he's really not,
Yeah. But to get back on topic.
Yeah, we don't want to, Joe, we don't want to.
But I guess, yeah, like
You
adolescent
can't catch
love.
me because the rabbit hasn't died,
Yeah, but like adolescent love, like I love it. It's like one of those things. Again, I think there's certain now. Again, I did not have any music influence like that influenced me at that time period to such an extent. But listening to music now, there are certain songs, like again, like the Beatles, early Beatles were masters of this.
Yeah.
And even like the early 1950s pop music.
Or I Saw You Standing There. I mean, classic.
I know people have some folks have an issue with the line she was just 17, but they're saying from the perspective of that age.
A 17-year-old.
Imagine you're 13, right? And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, she's 13, she
Yeah.
long, you're in that age. So the Beatles are singing from that perspective.
I mean, if people have a problem with it now, it's like, dude, it was written like in the 60s. It's like the Beatles were like writing about the young girls that they were the same age, Or there was a song, My Little 16.
Right, which also I think the song has problems nowadays. I don't agree with it because it's like
It was a different time in the 50s when they wrote that, But anyway, so Joe, next question before me and Manny take us to another level.
I think we're gonna leave it. We're gonna leave it with that, and go on to something else.
Okay.
Because we wanted to go into the shows. So I was thinking about emotions and the different shows that we've seen. Finish this sentence. I got emotional when I saw someone in concert. Who was that?
Ooh, that's good.
Genuinely moved when you saw them in concert.
You want to go first, Manny, or?
Jeez, go ahead, you. I know you have so much stories.
Well, I got two. Because I was so close to them. on the stage and stuff. When I saw Iron Maiden, well, I wasn't that close to Maiden, but like when Iron Maiden came out for the first time, and I saw them when I was 18 on the Seven Sun tour, and I wanted to be Steve Harris, like literally. And then when Ace is High, the intro, Winston Churchill speech, and then they go right into it, and then Steve Harris comes running out on that stage. I remember literally crying, like oh my god, I love this man. And then seeing Billy Sheehan at the bottom line, being literally like we talked about being on the stage, like I was like, there's nobody who played bass like that I've ever seen. I was like, this guy's not from this world. He's tapped into supernatural bass world and stuff, and he's like not human. I remember meeting him and being like, dude, you're not human. Let me see your fingers. Are you a robot? He was such a nice guy. So Billy Sheehan and Steve Harris did that for me. Of course, Getty, when I would say those three, when the beginning of Spirit of the Radio kicks in, you hear that bum bum bum, and then you see Getty.
You know, it's in the side.
I'm not just saying Getty on that. I'm going to say Rush, because that that moment was just magical. Hearing that Spirit of, and whenever I hear Spirit of the Radio, I go back to that concert. Seeing them. So
Well, for me, I had three.
Okay.
And number three was when I saw Jimmy Page for the first time.
Oh yeah.
It was with the Firm. It was around 1985, and he played the bow inside the Laser Pyramid, which they did for Zeppelin back in the '77 tour. There was a laser pyramid that would be over the top of Jimmy Page when he did the bow sequence. And for some reason, I got very emotional at that. It's like I'd waited all those years to see it, and I finally got to see it. And Jimmy had a great night. He was really on. So that was fun. And then number two is when I saw Willie Nelson and family perform at SUNY Purchase. And that was because we had pretty good seats, and I took my dad. My dad always got a kick out of Willie Nelson. Don't forget, Willie Nelson is 92 years old now. This was back around 2002. And yeah, my dad always got a kick out of him because he was an outlaw. He did whatever he wanted. He wore his hair the way he wanted, in braids if he wanted, and he dressed the way he wanted. And I thought it was great, and I got a little emotional, and I took my dad to see Willie Nelson.
That's a legend.
Yeah, but number one is when I saw Ringo Starr, and he sang "Yellow Submarine." Because it
Wow.
was like came all full circle for me. We saw Ringo Starr in 2016, and I remember when I was a little kid, 8, 9, 10 years old, at a friend's house. And he had the older sister. And the older sister, we were going through the record collection. And it was almost like the scene from Almost Famous, same idea.
Yeah.
And there was, oh God, Alice's Restaurant, Arlo Guthrie. There was, of course, James Taylor, Simon and Garfunkel albums. But then there was also the Beatles' Yellow Submarine. And I remember we played that. And it just seemed, it just reminded me of my childhood. And when he sang Yellow Submarine, I just got really choked up.
Yeah.
It was a moment.
That's cool.
Yeah. So then you do the flip side. Oh, wait a minute. Manny, did you do yours?
Not yet, no.
You got to go. You have one? You have youngin?
I know. No, it's crazy because, like I said, like I didn't go to concerts till maybe my first concert was after I graduated high school. And then I shared this story, Neil Young, right? But I really didn't get emotional because I dabbled in Neil Young music, but I didn't know who this was. I knew of him, but I guess some concerts I have two. One is when I saw Springsteen.
Yeah.
It's crazy because I saw him. He came out with the Killers as a guest. He came out with Coldplay as a guest, and then I actually saw Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. Like, and it's crazy because the show was like.
You saw him with Clarence?
Hmm?
With Clarence Clemens?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, but it was his family.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest with you, like that concert, like I technically did not want to end. And the only thing that kind of ruined it was like the heat, 'cause it was pretty hot that day. But obviously the night came in and, cool down, but and we had the nosebleed seats, so obviously I wasn't as close, but it was so amazing being there to witness the boss, and I felt the emotions because this was a dream since like I graduated high school
Yeah.
to see him, and I finally did. So there's that one. And then actually another one is that I thought was fascinating was seeing the Killers. Now the Killers, I grew up with the Killers music,
Great
like
band.
rock music, and I loved them. And first of all, Johnny Marr, talk about opening act, Cheech, he
Yeah.
opened. And I loved it. I was like, whoa, I got into it. I was like, Johnny Marr can sing, he can play, he's fantastic. And then when Brendan Flowers comes on, he played some of his new stuff, which actually was pretty good. I felt the rush of a positive, electric emotion. Like I was in Madison Square Garden, and I think it's probably one of the best MSG concerts I saw there.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So on the flip side, because I know that Cheech, you got to go soon, but I
No,
think we can wrap
I
this up quickly.
that's it's cool. It's all good.
Oh,
Yeah, we could we're good.
all right. Well, the flip side question is, you finished this sentence. I laughed when I saw. So can you think of any humorous moments in a concert, unscripted, that just happened that were just kind of cute or funny?
You're not talking about like a comedian though.
No, I'm not. You want
Okay.
me to do you want me to do mine? Because
Yeah.
I got three.
I
I
think of
think the first time I ever really laughed at a concert was when I saw the Bare Naked Ladies. They're a little Canadian band, but not that little.
they're famous, yeah.
Yeah, Bare Naked Ladies, right? And they came to Bridgeport, and it was just so funny. Oh God, Stephen Page, and I forget the other guy's name, but they did like a square dance thing where they locked arms and they twirled. It was just really funny. And then they did Yoko Ono, Be
Hmm.
My Yoko Ono. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that song, but it's kind of like sending up Yoko Ono.
Yeah.
And the idea that, the guy is singing about, I guess he has a girlfriend who is like kind of like always with him, just the
Right.
way that Yoko was always with John Lennon around
Yeah.
the time of like Let It Be. Like she would be in the recording studio.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, the chorus is, "You can be my Yoko Ono." And then there's a part where, one of the singers gives off this like, I can't call it blood curdling scream, but you know how Yoko Ono has that avant garde singing style?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know. I just thought that was funny. And then number two is when I saw the Flaming Lips one time, and they do a lot of inflatables, and they put people inside these inflatables. And I sent you guys a picture of the one with the sun. Um, it's like a rubberized inflatable sun, and there's a person in there, and you can see the legs sticking out. And yeah, they do all kinds of props at Flaming Lip shows. But what had happened was when the sun came out, he has no vision. He really can't see what he's doing. There's no eye holes, and he must have tripped on a cable. Of course, there's lots of cables on a music stage, and kind of went down on one knee and couldn't get back up. And Wayne Coyne went over and kind of grabbed him by the arm and got him back up. And everybody in the whole place just went, "Oh," because it was like such a cute moment. Then
Yeah.
Wayne Coyne kind of laughed because I think he realized visually this idea of trying to help the son up so he could stand again was very
Yeah.
funny. And then the last one was Robert Plant when he was singing "Going to California" at the Capitol Theater, and a lot of people knew the words, but there must have been someone up close to the stage, just off to his left, down front, who was singing, really trying, but was like off pitch, and was really kind of butchering the song. And Robert Plant just like took the mic stand, and he just put his head down, and he just like was shaking his head, he kind of mocking the guy a little bit. He was just having fun with it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Everybody just kind of laughed at that because the guy kept singing, and Robert Plant just kind of looked at him, like, shaking his head, like, no, no, no. I don't know. You had to be there. Actually, it's on video, YouTube, buried deep in the archives of the YouTube. But
Yeah.
I thought that was funny. Totally unscripted. The audience got involved. So that's what
Wow.
I have.
I can't. For me, I can't think of a funny moment because every band I've seen has always been like real serious. You know.
I have one, but go ahead, Cheech. Like cute
I
one.
I can't remember like a actual funny moment. I've seen bands make mistakes and under the breath, you see them like fuck, like they hit the wrong note, that kind of thing. So it's not. I guess it's funny in a way, but like I seen Getty kind of miss a note. He was off slightly on Red Barchetta, and you could see. Or actually, I did. This is funny. Alex, I hit a couple notes, and you would see Getty just give him a look like this, give him the little dirty look, So yeah, that was funny to me because like it happens with every band, But with them, it was like, and they were. It was like on one of the more recent tours, so it wasn't like anger. It was just like, you fucked up, that kind of thing. And the humor that they have a lot of humor on stage, which is
Mhm.
and stuff. Or when the end of Closer to the Heart, this is actually funny. I didn't see it live, but it would be where Alex messes with Getty's hair. He just kind of messes it up when they're ending it, and then they end the
Bro,
song.
those two have the best sense. I'm not gonna like those two. I would love to be a fly off the wall.
Yeah,
Like the way they bounce back. They have this. They kind of like us, where they have their sense of humor, which if you're watching, you don't get. But they're
yeah,
cracking up. Like so, I can only imagine what it would look like on stage.
yeah.
I know Alex's nickname is Lurch, and
Mm-hmm.
I think they always called Neil the new guy. But what was Getty's in-band nickname? Did he have one?
That's a good
Mark?
question. Well, they would call Alex Larist for a while. I don't know Getty's name. You know what his real name is?
I used to. I
Gary.
know his story,
His real
relation
his,
to
fir- his
college.
first name is Gary, and his
Uh-huh.
mother would always say Gaddy, 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 because she had this Polish accent, and then his friends would come over and they thought she was calling him Getty, and it's similar to how I got my nickname when my friends would come over and my father would call me Cheech, and that's how that just developed. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. Mo, what's yours?
So for me, I have two. They're not really funny, but I got two cute ones. Actually, and they have to do with because I listen to Spanish acts, right? But I took my little sister to see this famous singer from Mexico. Her name is Natalia Lafourcade. I've seen her three times already. She's one of my favorite artists. I took my sister to the concert, and she had this cute moment where she started to invite people on stage for one of the songs to dance. So
Oh,
she was picking people from the crowd, and people were pushing up, and it was standing room only. So what I did was like I told my sister, "Yo, go, go, go! You can go on stage, go, go, because they're gonna pick you because you're a kid." So I saw like pushing her, and all of a sudden, like the bouncer or the guard sees her, grabs her, and she gets on stage and dancing awkwardly next to Natalia, which I
oh
thought
my
was
God, that's amazing.
it's so funny. I could have a film somewhere. I just wouldn't know if I did it on my iPhone or
Yeah.
when I
How
had.
old was she?
He was probably, yeah, I have to guess maybe middle school.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because
She,
yeah, I took her to that concert. And then another really funny one is there's another act from Mexico. Their name is I always see them. I think I've seen them already like four times. Their name is Café Tacuba. They do this weird thing where during one of the songs, they put down their instruments and they do this weird disco dance. But it's just so funny seeing it, like, because now it's been a thing with them. You know how a band or an artist does something, maybe live or it becomes associated with the band. So it's like this synchronized disco singing, like,
Like the YMCA.
kind of, yeah, yeah. I have it filmed somewhere, but most of my concerts, actually, one more. Three, I just recall another one. Bruce Springsteen. During one of the, if you've seen, I know Joe, you've probably seen this. When he starts introducing the band, Springsteen is such a hype man. Like he'll start saying like, and now we got not to be too explicit, we have the lady killer, the one that all girls drop there, and he's like just like going like and then he'll be like Max Weinberg, little Stevie, like that.
Yeah.
He's so funny the way you could. And it's crazy because when I saw him, he was like a little ant, and obviously there were screens, but that like charisma and like, um, and like energy was like so great. And also it's kind of funny seeing him when he sings the 1950s like little richer songs. Like they go crazy. They're like dancing and they're like or like twist and shout like like it's just like a party. Like it's a lot. It's lots of fun when you see it. But then he has a serious moments like so most of my concerts have been serious, which I like it that way. Like I'm not too much of a, seeing goofy things on stage. I like
Yeah,
serious, right? So most of my acts I've seen serious.
me too. I mean, I thought of another one on the Rush's Presto tour. At the end of the tour, when the rabbit comes out of the hat, the Playboy bunnies came out, and there's like these five beautiful women.
Dude, that's hilarious, especially for Rush.
Yeah, yeah. They had the bunny ears, and they were wearing, keep it G rated, but you could use your imagination, and everybody went crazy. You know,
Next question. Who is your favorite male vocalist or vocalist that you saw in concert? Want me to go first because I'm the old man? I counted up the concerts. I've seen about 130 concerts, and I think, well, that seems like a lot. And then I go, no, I know people that have probably seen the Grateful Dead alone over 130
it's
times,
crazy. I know.
you know? But I had to go with 5 male vocalists because how do you leave off Rob Halford of Judas Priest?
Exactly.
You can't. How do you leave off John Anderson of Yes, who I've seen twice?
Oh,
Saw him back in the late '70s. Just saw him last year. Fantastic. How do you leave off Lou Grammar at his peak around 1984, 1985? I want to know what love is, or Jukebox Hero, or Head Games. Couldn't do it. And saw him up close. It was great. He put on a great show. Number 2 is Bono of U2. Busts a gut every time he's out there, like it's his last show. Great voice.
yeah.
That leads number 1. Everybody knows who it is. It's my good friend Robert Plant of Led Zeppelin. And of
Of course.
course, solo, because I never got to see Led Zeppelin, but I've gotten to see Robert 11 times, and number 12 is coming up in November at the Cap Theater. He's like wine. I swear he's getting better vocally,
Yeah.
and he's having fun. He's enjoying himself. He does exactly what he wants, and more power to him.
Yeah.
How about you, Cheech? Your favorite singer?
Best singer I ever seen in my life was John Wetton from Asia.
What year?
2000s.
Wow.
They did a reunion. I met Steve Howe.
Wait, as an aside, wow. And by the way, I think I might buy tickets to the Yes Show at the Capitol in October. I think I may do it.
We're talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm just so sad because John Anderson is one of my favorite singers. Like I just a quick rant on like Anderson. The way he's not rant, but like maybe fan love, but he's one of the. It's so hard to describe his singing voice, but it's addicting. Like
Yeah.
especially when you listen to Closer to the Edge.
Oh God. Yeah.
A beautiful voice. He probably has one of the most unique voices.
Yeah.
Also, John Wetton.
Yeah. John Wetton. Yeah.
He's another one. And I discovered Asia,
Yeah.
the heat of the moment. Only time will tell. You're
Hmm.
leaving now. Like it's so. I was like, who is
He was the greatest vocalist. Like I had tears in my eyes. So when I walked back in Terrytown Music Hall to the bar, and he started to sing that song you just said, "I'm leaving now," and it went right. Hold on, that scratch in there. It's like he just gave me chills. And then obviously Bruce Dickinson in prime. Dickinson was just like, oh my God,
that must have been what year is this, Chish?
1988.
Oh
And so
God, that's peak.
yeah.
It's so sad. I've never seen artists at their peak. Like I've seen them do actually there's one, but it doesn't I guess it doesn't really count because she's a Spanish speaking singer. And I saw her when she
Hmm.
was rising.
Right.
Saw that, right? But I've never seen one of my favorite artists like in peak.
This is the heat of like Maiden was a great, Metallica was in between albums. They were about to put out Injustice for All, so It was always Maiden and Metallica in the '80s. You know that like
Was there like a versus thing with that?
no, never verses, but like those were the bands that everybody worshipped. I mean, there was other bands too, like Slayer, and stuff, but those were the big metal bands in my circle of things. And Priest, but Priest got a little weird in the '80s. They tried to get a little commercial, and
Yeah, I
I,
think Turbo, the album Turbo, a lot of synthesizers.
but Maiden was always true, and before Maiden got into the '90s and stuff, but this is like a peak Maiden. Everyone was on top of the game. Bruce Dickinson was just unbelievable. You know, like on Power Slave, he put on the mask and he did the theatrical things, and he was amazing. I'd probably say also Fates Warning's lead singer Ray Alder. I was a kid at 19 years old in the bar streets, hanging on the stage. He was my idol in life at that time, and I was like, fucking greatest singer, you know. Warren Haynes from Government Mule blew me away for the bluesy style, um, and then of course you said John. John Anderson. I was blessed to see all the members of Yes on one stage on the Union tour. I got to see them all: Tony Kaye, Rick Wakeman, Trevor Rabin, Steve Howe, Alan White, Bill Bruford, Chris Squire, and John Anderson. And John Anderson was just magnificent. Oh, yeah, like a John Wetton, that kind of vibe. Um, I'm trying to think those are. I don't know if I went over five, but those were my.
What about Getty?
Well, see, Getty Rush is like in its own universe for me. You know what I mean? Like,
Right, right. Dude,
I,
Rush, you know what's funny? Rush is, I know this is weird, and I don't know, Joe, if you find this weird. When I hear Getty sing, like I get emotional. Like I
yeah.
said, like I get like I'm trying to describe it. It's like some sort of like musical like euphoria when you hear. I can only imagine what fans will saw when they see them live. Like when I hear the opening sounds, uh
Yeah.
and you just hear like Neil Peart, and then when Getty starts singing,
Oh yeah.
and my favorite that always gets me excited, and when I hear Getty's voice, that's why I don't understand when people say he's a bad singer. I'm like,
He's a
thanks.
phenomenal singer.
No, free will. When it's and then it's
Yeah.
like there are those who feel that like
Like for me, when I think of Getty, I love his voice, but I always think more of his bass playing
yeah,
than
it's
his voice.
competition.
So
Yeah.
like Bruce Dickinson, you know, is like amazing, and then I'm watching Getty, and I'm like, oh my god, the bass is
Well,
good, his voice is so good, you know.
well, remember the exit stage left. I'm telling you right now, I thought he was the most, even though he kind of looks like a dude with the tie. But when I discovered them, I saw that performance. I see him with the famous Rick, and that's front and stage.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Whoa, he can sing and play. He's like playing like ding, like playing all these notes. I'm like,
Technically, like the greatest technical bass player and singer at the same time. Nobody could touch Getty in those lines that he's playing. Try and sing, "Farewell to Kings." Good luck. Good luck trying to sing and play that song.
it boggles my mind because Cheech, you're the musicologist here, but like from what I'm sensing or like analyzing, when I hear the bass, it's sort of like most bass lines are simple, like boom, 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 boom. But
Yeah.
Geddy's goes like boom, 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 boom. I'm like, what the heck? How do you memorize that?
He's melodic. His lines reflect, from McCartney, of course, reflect the melody. There's a counter melody going on to the melody. Sting is good at that.
Sting is a master bass jazzy.
And I know what Joe's thinking right now. Les Claypool, he's another beast.
Yeah.
Doing all the crazy shit. And
You know what was really crazy? And actually, I should have gone see them, but even though it's only two members of the Who, they were at MSG. But I should have gone. Ugh, I gotta stop doing this regret thing. But John Entwistle,
oh, You got to go on YouTube and look at the John Entwistle just bass lines.
No, I saw the one for
Won't get fooled again.
yes, they isolated it. It was on Instagram. I'm not sure if I sent it to you.
I
Um,
Let me tell you about that. I've watched that 100, maybe 200 times. That video. I would sit there over and over and just try to get into my soul and my brain. And I learned that song for a band, and that's how I learned it. And some of those things you can't.
yeah. What about over like my generation? Like even back in the 60s,
Oh yeah.
like he's like playing. It's like, dude, this is the early Getty. Like,
Well, what about the real me?
yeah.
I mean that John Entwistle started the bass solo, and then Jack Bruce took it to
Elevated.
not another level, but took it to the front. Entwistle was in the front, and then Jack Bruce was influenced by him, and although the Who was out before Cream, but definitely Jack Bruce was listening to John Entwistle for putting it in the front, where Jack Bruce was doing all kinds of insanity.
Dude, as an aside, Genesis, Mike Rutherford, underrated bass player.
And Joe and we all three of us talked about one of the greatest bass lines I think of all, and my brother-in-law will agree, of all time in a pop song. No reply at all.
I know.
One of the greatest bass lines,
No,
I think, next to
but
Joe.
it's funny how you
Glorious.
mentioned that, dude, because first of all, that song is poppy,
Yeah.
so poppy, beautiful song. But then I now listen to that bass. I'm like, wait a minute, it's weird. Like
He's copying horn lines in a pop song.
it's like this. Like, Cheech, tell me I'm wrong. It's like boom, 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 boom. It's like this weird.
Yeah,
It
he
goes
he
against the song.
he does everything perfect. He plays notes, he gives space, he plays notes, then he goes nuts and he goes back to space, then he goes to the high register and he's playing horn lines. You know, very similar to stuff that Nathan Watts would do with Nathan Watts was Stevie Wonder's bass player. So you can hear that in Sir Duke when they do all these licks, or if you ever hear I Wish, the crazy shit that Nathan Watts does at the end, that Flea was definitely inspired by, like old funk stuff. But yeah, Entwistle started the lead bass before anybody. He's the man.
He made it cool.
Yeah. He made that lead bass that led to the 70s where bass was prominent in all these bands: Sabbath, Humble Pie, Thin Lizzy,
Right.
Black, Purple, obviously Led Zeppelin.
And it's crazy. The one, and I will say, yeah, Getty, like, I love Getty in both his singing and bass playing. As an aside, too, McCartney, I think he's one of the most coolest people to play the bass and sing. And his lines, actually, I don't know if you would agree with this. There's
Oh,
so,
I agree. One of my favorite bass lines is Rain. I mean,
oh, yeah.
like the way he's doing stuff.
Or what about Come Together? What a genius
Come Together's
bass line. By the way, wait, Jude, as a musician, geez, how is that? How can McCartney invent this? Like, I don't get it.
Well, I mean, McCartney is spelling out a minor triad in that song. And that's I think Come Together is one of the all-time greatest bass lines, and the drum fills. And it's not like over the top like Rush. You know what I mean? It's just simple, it's compact, and it's in there. I'm glad you brought that up. That's a brilliant bass line. McCartney is probably the guy who started it. And then he took it from James Jamerson. Now I'm going on a bass ramp. He took it from Motown. James Jamerson, who's God.
Right.
And Stax, Duck Dunn, Atlantic. You got Jerry Jamon. And God, my brain. Why am I? All the great funk, bass players from that era. And McCartney just sucked all that in. He just he put it all into his playing, especially James Jamerson in Duck Dunn.
I'm telling you, I know this is really musical nerdism coming out, but when you hear a McCartney, like one of my favorite performances is when he was touring with Wings, and it's on record and video on I think Wings Tours America,
Mhm.
like an album, and then the video for Silly Love Songs. Again, the song I love that song. I don't
And he's
care.
playing Rickenbacker the whole time.
Dude, it's one of the and the bass line boom 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 boom. And I'm like, how and
Yeah,
he's singing too, and I'm saying like, how is that? How is
yeah.
that possible?
Band on the Run. I mean, his line he developed like in the '70s. He got even better as a
Cheech, Joe, have you listened to Let Me Roll It?
yeah.
Bong, 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 bong. Like he makes the bass so melodic and emotional. Like he anchors it. Like you know, and you're right. I agree with you with a rain. Ding, boom, 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 boom. Like
Oh, that's something right out of James Jamerson. If you listen to Motown, you know, like I'm trying to think of some of these Motown songs. Like I just heard one the other day on the radio. Like heard it through the grapevine,
mm,
or Bernadette. There's a song called Bernadette. I think it's is it the Temptations? You know, Bernadette is where he got the bass line for Rain. Totally, totally. You know,
so
he definitely was listening to those guys. You know, the definitely Jamerson and McCartney said he never even knew the guy's name because Motown did not put the bass player's name.
no,
They
and
went on Funk Brothers,
no respect for the session player. So like,
so, and they call it like Tamla in England. And then he'd always say like, oh, they'd say, who's your favorite bass player? He said, oh, the guy who played on the Motown records. And then that's in the '60s. And then Jamerson got famous in the '70s because his name was popping up a lot. Who is that guy? Well, he needs to be known. And then he's one of the biggest innovators of the Fender bass, the bass I play, ever. He's definitely one of the biggest innovators. Him and Duck Dunn, and of course Joe. Who else? Who else am I going to say? You got to throw her in there. Beach Boys,
Was it Carol Kay?
of course. Carol Kay.
okay,
Because I often thought that during the Pet Sounds era,
That's
the
all.
Beatles and the Beach Boys kind of had a rivalry. And McCartney used to say that if the Beach Boys album came out, they wanted to hear it fast and they wanted to respond to it and try to do better than the Beach Boys. And I noticed a similarity in the bass sound on a
Yeah.
Beach Boys record as a Beatles. And I remember Brian Wilson was a bass player, but I'm going, yeah,
No,
maybe
that's
when
all.
they played live, but never in the studio.
All Carol Kay.
it's
Carol.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Carol Kay is a genius, but Ryan Wilson for the Pet Sounds album relied on other musicians.
Yeah. Yeah.
But just to put in perspective, the Beatles though were mostly by themselves. So
Oh yeah. Yeah.
he had the genius of a Carol Kay and Ryan Wilson, which is insane.
Yeah.
And it's funny, that rivalry is so funny. I'm not gonna lie, Pet Sounds is majestic. Like the Beach Boys came so close, even though they couldn't follow it up. But then
Hmm.
the Beatles slapped them in the face with Sergeant Pepper. It's like, man, and then they released the White Album.
Like, did you listen to Good Vibrations?
Yeah, and you know what's so sad? That song should have been on Pet Sounds.
But when you hear the intro to the bass on that,
Uh,
dang, it's Carol Kay. It's insane. There's another guy named Bob Babbitt. He was the other bass player. He's on Signed, Sealed, and Delivered by Stevie Wonder. And there's always an argument that Jamerson played on the earlier stuff, but when they get towards the '70s, Bob Babbitt is saying he played on a lot of the stuff. But definitely the Beatles were all over Motown. I mean, McCartney was all over Motown for that kind of stuff. The tone of the bass, the rhythms, the syncopation. Only thing he used to pick, and James Jamerson used one finger. He used his index finger to play. He only used. I don't know. I definitely use one finger. Because I studied that technique from Jamerson, the one finger technique. But yeah, the Beatles definitely, man. McCartney's probably the greatest bass player.
Well,
He started it. He started it all for the Gettys, the Chris Squires, the Ant Whistles, Felix Pappalardi, Phil Lynette, Steve Harris.
with that in mind, Cheech, I'm going to jump in because we'll stay on topic then. We just did the male vocalist. Uh, top favorite bass players you've
God,
seen live. Want me to go first?
yeah.
I got to go with number 3 as Chris Squire. I always liked his sound. He was great live,
Mhm.
Yeah.
great guy. Really liked Chris Squire. Number 2, Les Claypool of
Or
Primus. I've been lucky enough to seen him play 3 times at the Cap with 3 different bands, and twice I got, really close to the stage and got to really watch him work. He
yeah,
is really something. He's so funky, and as a live performer, he is just so much fun.
he's
And, huh?
animated. He kicks his legs and he does all these kind of things that that you normally wouldn't see musicians do, which makes it so much cooler.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's
As
fun.
an
I
aside, you know,
thought he
he
was like
made
a grandpa, the
you
way
know,
he
it's
danced
funny.
around.
As an aside, he made the South Park theme song.
Oh yeah, that alone makes him a
I,
G.
I think I sent you the video. They were fans of Primus and him with the Matt Stone and
Yeah.
Have
uh
we talked about that story? About, Les Claypool and the band were asked to do the song,
I don't
and when
remember.
they did it, the creators of South Park said, "It's too long." And, Les Claypool's like, "I don't wanna have to go back in and do it again."
Yeah,
He said, "Just, speed speed it up." And they did, they sped that up.
yeah.
But Les Claypool actually had to go in and overdub the vocals, but the rest of it, the instrumentation is just sped up really, really fast.
right.
Yeah.
And you can hear the original song at the end credits. Like that's what I heard, like that original when you hear
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
It's just I didn't know that. It's just crazy.
yeah.
So my number 1 bass player favorite seen live is the great Jack Bruce
Oh,
of Cream.
that is that. It doesn't get better than that.
It doesn't.
Oh, the greatest of the greats.
He was unbelievable, and, I mean, I love the bass playing, it's tremendous. I saw him on the Cream reunion tour in 2005 at the Garden. He had a great night. I thought of him as the all-star of the night when,
Yeah.
when he sang "We're Going Wrong," and, his vocals were so on. It was a great night. I'll never forget it.
Oh yeah. That's just to see that show. You were so lucky to see that the farewell second farewell shows. You
It
know.
was a very unusual concert for me because the tickets available were behind the stage, and I'm
Right.
like, "Does that mean it's obstructed?" I really was concerned about it, and I said, "I just gotta get in the building," and when we sat down, we were basically 40 feet directly back behind, Eric Clapton's mic stand.
Wow.
There was no obstruction, and we were, like, 25, 30 feet, away from Ginger Baker's left shoulder.
Oh my God.
And it was an unbelievable vantage point, and they did give us TV screens so we could see, what it was like from the front of the stage.
Yeah.
I have no problem at all with seeing them from behind the stage. I love that vantage point. It was an incredible, incredible show. Very lucky. I was grateful to go there. But Cheech, when you get to your bass players,
Oh
you
God.
probably got, like, 3 pages. But
Well,
as
you
far as seeing them live, I don't know what your criteria is, if
yeah,
you
keep
Um,
it
have to
alive.
be really close or if you're on the
Uh,
side of the stage and you're watching them or
well, it,
wait, before you go, wait, let me just mention mine because I really just two things. First, I'll be honest with you, my concerts, the bass players, they're really good, but they were not memorable. Like, not that they were bad. Like I saw Neil Young, that bass player for Crazy Horse,
yeah,
really good. I saw Bruce Springsteen, Gary Talent, of course. Coldplay, the bass player from the band, which I kind
no,
of can't on the name. Some of my other favorite bands too. But okay, but I do have one, and also I'm just gonna mention quickly like my favorite singer that I saw live.
mhm.
I
Uh,
thought we got yours.
huh?
I forgot you?
Yeah, no, all good though, all good. I went, Cheech and I took it on a tangent, but I will say one of my favorite singers, gonna come back to him again, Bruce Springsteen. I cannot believe the way he sounds, and it's funny because he does such a great job. And mind you, he's mic'd up and then with the MetLife, but his singing is amazing. Like if you can hear the boss sing, like it is an experience. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy. And I always come back to the story when he sang Jungle Land. He was
Mm.
on point and like he sings so beautifully. And he also sang among other songs too. Like he sang, the best songs in his repertoire. But yeah, that's that. And then actually, I'm gonna give a shout out to Chris Martin from Coldplay. He was fantastic. Coldplay, definitely one of the last few standing rock bands are still going strong, and
Yeah.
always does a great job. So much emotion in his songs. And like I said, then bass players, I'll be honest with you, like I had, they're not that they weren't memorable or good. It's just that I was actually thinking about like bass players live. Like who would that be? So
Don't worry, Manny, because I'm going to stump Cheech on a later question. I'm going to
Stump.
stump him. He's going to come up blank. I promise you.
Okay. Let's see.
But first, we want to hear about Cheech's favorite bass players that he's seen live.
Well, number one, Billy
Hey,
Sheehan.
Cheech, you don't count.
Huh?
You don't count, even though you're great.
Billy Sheehan, for a solo bass player, I mean, the greatest bass. Not, no disrespect to Geddy or Steve Harris. Billy Sheehan's the greatest rock bass player of modern times. Like I never seen anything like it in my life. Brought tears to my eyes, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It's like, watching something and you're like, is this real? This guy actually how did you make this happen? How do you play like that? So I've seen him many, many times, but the one concert was at the Bottom Line, which is not there anymore. But that was incredible, and I got to hang with him, and have a good time drinking with him after the show. And
That's special.
speaking of South Park, Isaac Hayes came out that night because he kept quoting Shaft all night long as a little hint. So we closed the bar, and believe it or not, there wasn't a lot of people there to see his band Niacin. Dennis Chambers, I got to see, was one of the greatest funk jazz drummers of all time. And they were a trio. They were like Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Hammond organ, Billy Sheehan. I forget the name of the keyboard player, and of course the great Dennis Chambers. And Billy comes out, and and I'm with a couple other people, and we all had different eras of Billy Sheehan, but kind of like my era the best because they had the Mr. Big era, and all that stuff. And I was like, dude, Talus was the greatest thing you ever did. Talus and Eat 'Em and Smile by David Lee Roth. And he was just like, oh, well, thank you. Talus was my band from Buffalo, and glad you liked it. He's like, so we're talking, we're going on. He's like, hang out a second. You're gonna get to meet somebody. Walks out Isaac Hayes and my dumbass cousin. I said, don't do it, because South Park was just coming out, and really popular.
Oh.
He made him do Chef. He made him do Chef. And
Who made him do Chef?
my
Billy
cousin,
Sheehan?
no, my cousin.
Oh,
I said, don't do it. Don't ask him to do Chef. My cousin was crazy. And he's like, Mr. Hayes, can you please do Chef? And he said, so I'm like, get away from me, little children. And it was just like, so like it was crazy to see Isaac Hayes do Chef. And I could get off topic with another thing I went through that was similar, but I won't because I'm going to stay focused on the bass. Steve Harris, Geddy Lee, obviously Steve Harris and Geddy Lee. And I got to keep going back. Oh, Alan Woody. Oh my God. Alan Woody from Government Mule. Alan Woody was just I would equate him to Billy Sheehan, a beast. Rest his soul, Alan Woody. Got to meet him and hang out with him at his last performance at the Bayou Blues Festival in 1999. I spent the whole day with him, hanging out, and I was on the stage. And after the show, we talked, and he said, "How do you think it sounded?" And I was like, "Are you serious? Like what? This is, the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life." And then let me think, like who else? Chris Squire on the Union tour because it was so loud on Heart of the Sunrise. Hearing that live, it's just like, holy shit, this is amazing. And I got to go back to John Wetton, man. John Wetton. And an underrated bass player, I got to go back to my Fates Warning. This guy, Joe DeBaez. he just blew me away. Another bass player named Dave LaRue, who I seen play with Steve Morris live. Dave LaRue was just like one of those Billy Sheehan moments. Like, what is this guy doing? This guy's ridiculous. I could go on, but I'm gonna stop there.
All right. So that brings us to our next question. Who is your favorite frontman that you've seen in concert? Now, a frontman is different from, a male vocalist,
Right.
right? And when I think of like the heavy metal community, I think of Bruce Dickinson, for example, who always believed that, when he was in these big football or soccer stadiums, he had to like puff himself up bigger than life, to perform so that, the people in the back would, know that he was there and he was thinking about them and he was, performing for them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I want to add, this might be controversial, but like James Hetfield is not a front man. Like,
well, it's all about, a lot of it is interaction with the audience.
Well, I don't think
Pumping
of.
them up.
I think
I know the reason why I mentioned James Hetfield. Yeah, about somebody.
won't go there.
But I agree. No, I'm just kidding. James Hetfield is good in those areas.
No,
I agree with you, Joe. A
I
front man is like one who is like, you know, bigger than life, able to capture the audience, and it's not easy. Like you definitely got to have a lot of
I
energy.
think a frontman plays an instrument. I think a frontman, Getty is a singer and a bass player who sings amazing. Is he a better frontman than Bruce Dickinson? No way.
But you're not gonna like my opinion. I don't think Getty's a front man.
Not. He's not.
No.
Either
Well,
is
how about this? Now, let's define front man.
but there are some bass players who sing that are frontmen.
Yes.
Phil Lynott from Thin Lizzy.
Not and
Gene
not.
Gene Simmons.
Yes, yeah.
You know, so there are the exceptions of these guys that are frontmen that play the bass. I would, Sting. I would put Sting in that category too. He's a frontman.
He's a front man, yes, but at the same time, no. And I think more of his ego as a front man.
Yeah, but he has that larger than life.
Yeah, it's like his name, Sting.
But Getty's all over the place, so you're not thinking of him running. Bruce Dickinson's the greatest, in my opinion, because he's running on stage. If you're running on amps, wearing a mask and a cape and singing "Flight of Icarus," there's nobody could touch you. He's one. Him and Rob Halford are the two greatest frontmen in heavy metal. I've seen Bruce Dickinson would be number one front man. John Anderson is good, but he's not like he's a good singer. I wouldn't really say he's a great front man. You know what I mean? Like it's I'm trying to think. Steven Tyler.
Oh yeah, he comes to mind. Yeah.
Steven Tyler and Bruce Dickinson would be the two greatest frontmen that I've ever seen. That in my opinion.
Yeah.
I know for Manny, it's probably Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, I was gonna. Before we go to Bruce Springsteen, because that's also my pick, Joe, and then one more. But I just remember a bass player that's actually pretty memorable. I saw an emotional concert because I went with my mother, little sister, and little brother because I made them fans of this band, Tears for Fears, and
Yeah.
the bass player and also a co-vocalist. Um, I was watching him play and still so fantastic, and he's playing and singing too. Like
Yeah.
I was like, oh man,
Well, they're Beatles based,
yeah.
so that's where you could see that influence.
You got influence on the song Head Over Heels, and live you could hear it. It's so beautiful, and the
Yeah.
lead singer, also another great. And I forgot Tears for Fears, and when they started hitting the song Head Over Heels, you hear the boom, 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 like it's just, and you see him like la, he's like la 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 la, and got the whole crowd singing. It's like,
Oh, I seen Geezer Butler with Ozzy.
I
I
didn't mention it. Oh my goodness.
get that. So Geezer, and Zach. So that's.
Let's throw it back to Joe. But yeah, Joe, go ahead. Springsteen, man.
I take him for granted. He's so great every night. I've seen him 4 times. He's not on any of my lists. I should have a special category just for Springsteen.
Yeah.
I mean, he body surfed when I saw him. He crowd surfed. He was 66 years old.
That's amazing. Yeah, Springsteen is just, and I saw him a couple years ago, and he is so electrifying. That's not even. I just don't know how he can do it. And he manages to get you excited. The way he sings, the way he also obviously him being Bruce Springsteen lives up to the name like Bruce Springsteen. Like he always manages to be larger than life. It's pretty astounding. Yeah. And yeah, the fact that you saw him body surf, that must have been such an image.
I just thought of two one topic, Joe, if you don't mind if I throw it out there. It's non-bands. I don't know if you guys seen a lot of comedians, but it is a show. It's like going to a concert if you think about it. Like at least it was for me. Um, I seen George Carlin in concert, and it was called a concert. You know what I mean? Back in the day, they would say concert, and then I saw the great Andrew Dice Clay, and he actually played the drums. Dice, the Dice would do his thing. Is we all know what Dice does, and then he'd have a band do like an Elvis kind of thing. Hey, you guys ever experience any comedians that put on like a concert? Like it's not a concert, but like they used to call it like George Carlin in concert. That was the name of the kind of thing.
Well, I could bring up somebody that I believe it or not, he is still
I know
out there performing. Do you know who I'm going to say?
Don Volpe.
Dr. John Valby,
Yeah,
Dr. Dirty.
yeah,
I, he's a piano player and he does all the naughty limericks and oh my God, he's Dr. Dirty. He's unbelievable.
yeah, yeah.
He has like a cult following, at least in New York State. I don't know if he is a national act.
He was in a movie I told you with Tom Cruise back in the day. I forget the name of it. That's how I discovered him. But yeah, he was definitely a thing during your college years. That's when he was coming up, when he was becoming popular in the early '80s, late '70s, and then you'd hear about him from time to time playing the Chance Theater. I always see billboards for him, but he kind of just But he was funny. He was really funny.
And he's still out there. I bought his album at the show. He autographed it. He had a little saying for me that I cannot repeat for young years. That
Yeah.
cracked me up. And I had it for a few years, and sure enough, somebody stole it from me in the dorm.
Oh,
Never
shit.
saw it again, probably because it was autographed.
Yeah, damn. But it's yeah. But so I think comedians also are some of them put on concerts. Those two definitely, Volpe and Dice definitely did.
Well, I go back to the day he was absolutely hysterical. And I know that now he's an actor mostly, but Steve Martin, and I never saw Steve Martin
Oh
in
no,
concert,
yeah,
but he used to fill 14, 18,000 seat arenas in the 70s.
yeah.
He was
He,
fantastic. We've talked about this, Cheech, where I have so much respect for someone that goes out there by himself and
Yeah.
performs. Musician John Hammond Jr., who I saw open for John Mayall in Terrytown, just him and a pedal steel guitar, and he entertained any comedian who goes out there by himself, because he not only has to contend with knowing all that material, he's got to stay healthy, and
he,
he's got to deal sometimes with hecklers.
and you got to be able to improvise.
Mhm.
And to me, out of all the arts, comedy, stand-up comedian is the hardest thing to do.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. There is such an art to it that the comedian is one of the, and we talked about geniuses. I mean, I don't know about comedians nowadays, but
Well, I was gonna say like, well, you say make your point, and then I'll make a point. I will not go down the rabbit hole, but I'll make a point.
no, like it's just a whole art form, and the fact that I agree with what you said. You have to be mindful because you're ready for the stand-up, right? You develop your show, and it takes a lot of practice, a lot of trial and error, blood, sweat, and tears. And then you get to the point where you start getting really good at it. And they make it look easy. And I saw actually a comedian I saw. I wasn't really a fan, but I got invited to the Palace Theater in Stanford to see Gabriel Iglesias.
He's funny. The big guy.
The guy, he was actually pretty funny. Like, I can't say I'm really a fan. When my friends they're really that I went with, they were fans. But it also got me thinking what Joe said. Just he was doing a 2 hour plus show set of his comedy, just him.
To a lot of people. It's not even a club. When you get people playing theaters like Dice Clay, he just played the Capitol. And Dice played. I saw Dice at Madison Square Garden. That's how big Dice was. Like, I mean, when you think about going out there, especially Dice, saying things that were not appropriate back in the day, and just coming out and saying that, that's insane. Kinnison, Carlin was a comic genius. He made you think. Dice was just like, he's this crazy and he's coming out with this crazy stuff and so out of there. Kinnison was funny. He would always talk about heartbreak and stuff against women, like that broke his heart. And then Carlin made you think. This guy was a genius, ahead of his time. They're saying that some of the things he said back then are happening now that he joked about
Yeah.
in the world, And you can go far back as Rickles, Don Rickles, these guys. Don Rickles, the king of like insult jokes, but improv, the greatest improv. Rickles and Johnny Carson, man.
No, and Carlin, back to George Carlin. I wish I saw him live. I may see more of his YouTube shows because they're all obviously on there. But he's so good that he transitioned that comedy skills into voicing for Thomas the Tank Engine. That's who I grew up on, and he was one of the greatest narrators. No one else
He was. Yeah,
was matched him. His comedic talents that he owned in comedy transitioned to.
yeah.
He was a genius for sure. I think he's one of the few.
A lot of guys started as comics who went on to be very serious actors, like Robin Williams. If
Famous.
you go back and you see his stand up, it's hysterical. I grew up watching Robin Williams with Mork and Mindy, and then the early HBO specials. He was out of his mind. He has these overalls on, and he was like hyper. He was like this completely a million miles a minute. That guy, as far as an improviser, he might be the greatest improviser in the world. Robin Williams, God rest his soul, Tears of a Clown. He was one of the greatest. How about Joe? Any other comedians that you have seen?
Oh, Lewis Black in Stanford. He was pretty funny. He did a lot of political humor.
Mm-hmm.
And Craig Ferguson, I saw at SUNY Purchase. Craig Ferguson used to have the Late Late show on CBS. And I remember he used to do very, very thoughtful monologues for the nighttime program he was on. And he did a good set. It was pretty good. Lewis Black is very funny. But Craig Ferguson, I just remember from the TV show because he really did these monologues that were very well thought out and tied together very well, and a lot of it had to do with him achieving his sobriety. I know we've talked about Stevie Ray Vaughan in the
Yeah,
past, with the sobriety, and Craig Ferguson would touch on that. Of course, he would kind of make fun of himself, some of the rather foolish things he did.
yeah,
And you talk about Robin Williams.
yeah,
There's a reason why he was going a mile a minute. I mean, he admits, cocaine and alcohol were a huge problem in his life and
yeah,
cost him dearly, with some relationships, I think. But Robin Williams would call it riffing when he would
yeah.
just go off on a tangent and wherever it took him, he was riffing.
And whenever he was on a talk show, you can go back and watch him with like Letterman. I always like to go back and watch the old Dave Letterman's like, oh boy, here we go, and and Letterman had that dry humor, and then Robin Williams would just be like you said, almost you couldn't get it. It was so fast, and then that's what he meant, and you're just cracking up after that. There was another comedian I was gonna say, but like I think it's a dying art, but it's coming back because me and Glenn at the Temple been sharing a lot of modern day comics, and they're not so much stand-ups. What they're doing now is they're doing reels. So there's a lot of people like this guy Drewski. Do you know Drewski, Manny?
No.
He was just controversial. He did some crazy stuff, and he was on the news. And then there's a guy named Jack's Funny, who's just doing like like they do bits. They do like little stand. They don't. It's not stand up. They do. It's almost like in living color kind of stuff. And I think that's making a huge thing on Reels. So there's a scene going on right now with a lot of funny comics only doing Reels. I can't say I've seen anything in stand up itself, but some of these Reels are they're just hysterical.
I haven't done my top 3 favorite frontmen in concert. Should I do that now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bring up the word genius. Oops. All right. Frontman, number 3.
I didn't go on.
I have 3 of them. Mick Jagger, Rolling Stones.
Oh yeah.
You know, he was the equivalent of my classic rock, Bruce Dickinson. You know, he worked the whole room. It could be a football stadium, and he was able to play to the whole room and make everybody, dance and feel good. Number 2 frontman, Robert Plant, formerly of Led Zeppelin, solo artist extraordinaire. People just love him. You know, when he's on stage, there's so much warmth in the room. You know, just great. And number 1, very controversial. I've talked about him before. Wayne Coyne of the Flaming Lips.
Oh yeah.
My favorite. He talks a lot in the show. I've gone to like Reddit threads that talk about Flaming Lips concerts and how great the concerts are. Everybody should see the Flaming Lips before they die. But they'll say that sometimes Wayne Coyne, talks too much or is too political. I've never heard him say anything political. If anything, I've heard him. He seems very concerned about mental health issues, making people feel welcome and inclusive. But he puts so much effort into the shows, and he makes us all feel so welcome, and that's his whole job. And I got to go with Wayne Coyne. So cross that one off. Ready for the next one? This is where I'm going to stump. I want to stump Cheech.
Okay.
Cheech, who is your favorite all-time female vocalist?
Female.
I've seen live in performance, I should say. Live show.
Tori Amos. The best female vocalist. Talk about solo. I seen her in Connecticut at the Oakdale Theater. It was just her and a piano.
Oh wow!
And it was angelic. She was just phenomenal. Blew my mind away. I would say she's one of the best female vocalists I've ever seen. Wish I could have seen Heart. Never got to see Heart. But I would definitely say Tori Amos would be my favorite. I didn't, a lot of the stuff I saw was always like harder rock bands. Not that they don't have female vocalists, but always like Maiden, Rush, like male singers. But she was one of the few. I did see who was, I can't think of her name. Some girl from the 90s who was really good. Lisa Loeb. She opened up for Collective Soul at 7 Willow Street, and she was really, really good. It was just her and acoustic guitar. And I thought she was really impressive.
So would you consider both those artists to be kind of like folk singers in the vein of Carole King?
Definitely. That's where they were both coming from. Tori Amos, I think, had her own world. Nobody in the world was like Tori Amos. She had this like bewitching, angelic thing about her that made her special.
Well, you've surprised me, Cheech, because you dug deep for that one. You came up with an answer because I thought, in the male-dominated world of heavy metal or jazz, that maybe you'd struggle with finding, a female vocalist.
I gotta say, probably the greatest female vocalist show I ever saw was Madonna. Madonna put on a show. I mean,
wait, you saw Madonna?
I saw Madonna many times. Yeah, and no, I didn't go by myself. I went with my ex.
I was gonna say, would you go? Cheech was like got us a loan ticket. Like,
You want to meet girls in the '90s and 2000s? You go alone to a Madonna show. Let me tell you. But
you know what's funny? As an aside, this song I would not be caught dead listening to in public, but it's so catchy. Material Girl.
no.
It is so catchy. I'm like, damn. Okay.
I love I'm not gonna lie, and don't look down at me. I love Madonna stuff in the '80s. Borderline, like you said, Material Girl, like a Virgin. Madonna was something when she came out. I was, we talk about our adolescence. I was like, oh my, wow. I'm like, all the hormones are kicking in watching this amazing, beautiful woman and singer. And then my ex loved her, and then we seen her on like Ray of Light tour. She just, I mean, it was like watching like Maiden. I mean, on a different realm, but like that kind of show, fire, lights. She didn't miss a beat. I don't know how. She probably played the perfect show. I don't know how she did it. Didn't mess up once. Didn't mess up, and it wasn't like recorded. Like I don't know how Taylor Swift does it. I don't know if Taylor Swift is singing to a backing track. But I know Madonna, of course, she had backing tracks, but most of the time she was singing live.
Mm.
She was out there, and Madonna just, I would say, I would put Tori Amos before Madonna, but as a show, Madonna was just incredible.
Very good. Manny, do you have a favorite female vocalist that you've seen live?
Actually, yeah. So, but the only thing is that Spanish speaking, I seen her 3 times. She did 2 shows. Her first show was when she was on the rise. She was singing around since the 2000s, but in 2011 she released like her like Magnus Opus. Saw that concert. Saw her again. Fantastic, and her opening acts were really good. And then saw her recently in New Jersey, lone act, just her and acoustic. It's her name is Natalia Lafourcade from Mexico. So she's one of my favorites. But it's out, and I would say rock, music does have some rock flavorings, but definitely more on the Latin, side. But other than that, I will say an interesting act, and I think Joe we talked about this, but when I saw Coldplay, one of their opening acts, which is really fascinating, and I was like, "Whoa, who is this?" The artist name is Her, and usually it's spelled out
Yes, we
H-E
talked about her.
I was like, and you normally I love opening acts. I'm like, oh, let's see it. But normally I'm not as excited. Cheech, I'm the opposite. I want to see the real band, not the opening act.
Well, no, yeah, this is like
The joke.
on
As a
Joe.
joke. But let me tell you, see this chick on guitar. I'm like,
Oh my God.
what's this? Then cranks out the riff to Lenny Kravitz, Are You Gonna Go My Way? Down and down and down. And I was like, wait, who is this? What the heck? And with a rocking band and her vocals were like so good, like a female.
A female Lenny Kravitz. She
Right.
but she shredded. She's a better guitar player than Lenny Kravitz. Like,
I would,
like
yeah.
I seen her on the Super Bowl when I was like, whoa, what? This is great. This is great. This is like a Jimi Hendrix of our generation coming out. But then she vanished. I don't know what happened to her. Sure, she's out there doing her thing, but just that's cool. You got to see her live.
Those would be my female vocalists I've seen, but mostly male dominated though. My
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's not wrong.
actually no, wait a minute, lies. I saw Stevie Nicks.
Oh, you saw the greatest.
Dude, I saw Fleetwood Mac. And by the way, I know a lot for Fleetwood Mac, but that was technically my third concert. Lindsey Buckingham, fantastic.
Underrated guitar player. The sound.
So underrated. Mick Fleet, the sound in MSG still like it rings in my ears. Mick Fleetwood, the bass player, which I'm kind of like blanking on the name. The only sad part is that Kristen McVie didn't come out. So, but
She didn't.
Stevie, no, not when I went to see
She
her.
was sick, maybe because she passed away, right? Yeah.
Yeah, this was back in 2012.
And I got to say something about Christine McVie. She doesn't get enough credit as such a great singer.
Oh,
When you hear the Christine McVie songs, I love her voice.
so
You
like
know, I mean,
Stevie,
not Stevie Nicks, but she's definitely got, like that song "Lies." What a great song that is, man.
Songbird, fantastic soft rock.
Yeah, that that band was so unique. They were so. Rumors is one of the greatest albums.
And yeah, and I will say Stevie Nicks, Lindsey Buckingham, it was probably one of the best concerts I've ever been at. To this day, I would say. And then Stevie Nicks, top performer. She was probably one of the best rock vocalists.
Oh yeah, definitely classic.
Her performance of Gold Dust Woman during the concert was so good, so haunting. She goes into her witchy moment. She was dressing like that, which is like
Yeah, and she looks good still, and she's close to 80.
also went to cocaine addiction too, you
Oh
know.
yeah, yeah, she was out of her mind. But she looks so hot in that Tom Petty video. The duet that they do. She's so beautiful, man. She's such a beautiful woman. But then you look at some people now, and it's like I feel sad. Like Grace Slick, who I always loved. I love Grace. She's still beautiful, but as an older woman. But I was like, oh wow, Grace Slick looks well. She's 82, so she's not going to look like Grace Slick on Jefferson Airplane.
On Woodstock, no.
you know. But
I saw Stevie Nicks a couple of years ago at the Garden. She didn't make my list, but she put on a good show.
you did, yeah.
It turns out I've seen a fair amount of female lead vocalists, so I'm going to give you my list. Number 5, I have 5. Whitney Houston.
Oh yeah, she's
I
amazing.
think I saw Whitney Houston when she was very young, and it might have been her first time ever playing Madison Square Garden. She came out in this like glittery evening gown, and when the lights would hit her, it sparkled. I mean, she had star quality like nobody else,
Yeah.
and she sang fantastic. This would have been before she did the Super Bowl in 1990 when the Giants played during the Gulf War. So she was very young. It was in the mid to late 80s when she was first becoming a big star.
She was amazing.
Yeah. Then number 4, I put down Mavis Staples,
Oh
Rock and Roll Hall of Famer.
yeah.
You want gospel, you want rock and roll, you want something quiet, you want something soulful. Mavis Staples is great, and she played at the Greenwich Town Party a couple of years ago in the afternoon. I got right up close. Really enjoyed the show.
So, and Cheech, as an aside, her performance on the band's last waltz of the Wait is probably one of the best.
Oh God, yeah.
One of the best. They that song they bring out the religiosity in it. The Mavis Staples. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Then my next one is Grace Potter, who I saw at the Cap
Oh,
maybe a
great.
year ago. She's got a great she's a rock and roller.
I forgot about Grace Potter. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Never had like in the millennial, she came up. She was this cute, adorable hippie chick. She'd be rocking out on a Hammond organ, and I was in love with her. There was a period where I just loved great. What was it? Grace Potter and the something.
Yeah.
I forget the name of the band, but I had one. I had like her first or second album. Then the record label got a hold of her, and they changed her cute hippie image to be more like a sexy kind of thing.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Didn't work. It didn't work for me because I liked her as a cute hippie chick who just rocked. Still
Was it Grace Potter and the Nocturnals? I'm trying to remember.
I think so.
Yeah.
So
Journals. Yeah, they were
Like,
great
yeah,
band.
I saw her as a solo act, and she was fantastic. Yeah, she rocked out.
You don't hear about her anymore. Like she wasn't as like you don't hear her playing as much as she did, say 10, 15 years ago.
She toured a lot last year. Maybe she's just taking some time off.
Yeah.
Number 2, Alison Krauss, who I've gotten to see 3 times with Robert Plant, and Voice of an Angel. Just incredible. And my number 1 all-time favorite female lead vocalist to see live was Annie Haslam. Have you ever heard of Annie Haslam?
Renaissance.
Renaissance.
oh,
Yeah.
She's like an opera singer, and she played at our college. Must have been about 1979 or 1980. and just what a beautiful voice. And it's the sort of voice that, if she's having an off night, I think the whole show just collapses.
Yeah.
Then everything's out of tune, everything's not in pitch, and she just was wonderful. What a beautiful voice.
Very underrated prog band that people don't talk about. Like, when you think of Yes or ELP or Renaissance, they were proggy. They get, and they had a great girl singer. So only in Europe or in England, I think they made it. Over here, yeah, they had their cult, excuse me, following, but definitely never got to the potential where they should have. Right?
Yeah. Well, if you ever have 22 minutes to kill, play "Ashes Are Burning" from the Live at Carnegie Hall double live album.
Yeah.
That was really good. Or "Carpet of the Sun," which was more radio friendly, like 4 minutes long.
Yeah, they had their place in the '70s. They were popular, but they
Yeah.
kind of not a household name, unfortunately.
I really had more trouble whittling down or ranking like a top 5 female lead vocalist because I had to leave off Pat Benatar,
Oh,
Bonnie Raitt,
God,
Alana Miles, who, if you remember, did the song Black Velvet,
I
beautiful
love
woman,
her voice. Yeah,
and Stevie Nicks. I had to leave them off the list. And Natalie Merchant from 10,000 Maniacs. I always liked her. So that finishes that category. You ready for another one?
yeah. Joe's on a roll.
Roll, Joe.
This one could be tricky for Manny, but I guess the category is your favorite British lead guitarists that you've seen in concert. You could do 1, 2, 3. I have 3. And, it's because of those 3 that I had to come up with a second lead guitarist category. And what did I call it? Can't remember my notes. Top 3 favorite non-British lead guitarists that you've seen live. You want me to go?
Yeah.
Number 3, Mr. Eric Clapton.
Oh, can't beat it.
With the Cream reunion.
You got him at number 3.
Fantastic. He's number 3. Number 2, Jimmy Page, who I got to see him 3 times. One time he was so on, it was fantastic. The second time I saw him with the Firm when they were promoting the second album, they had some technical difficulties. Wasn't his fault, but the show was a little bit staticky because of that. But love Jimmy. Everybody loves Jimmy. But number 1 is the big surprise. Jeff Beck was absolutely incredible.
Can't get better than that.
A virtuoso. And Jimmy Page has been quoted as saying himself that when Jeff Beck is on, when he's really on, there is no one better. And he played at the Capitol Theater, and the sound of the show was fantastic. He was having so much fun, and he was enjoying himself. He looked fit. He was 78 years old. So imagine, the surprise when he passed away less than a year later after the tour ended of bacterial meningitis. It was horrible. I feel very grateful I got to see him because I got to see the big 3 British guitarists.
Wow.
Who are your favorites? British.
Well, kind of torn. I'd probably say Andy Powell from Wishbone Ash. Like Renaissance, they fall in that category.
Mm-hmm.
And I was blessed to open for those guys with my band Deep River Meltdown in New Jersey. And then I followed them through the years and I have a real special connection with them. Like when my child was born, that's all I listened to was Wishbone Ash. I went through a period where I listened to Wishbone Ash only for about a year and no other band. And I got to open for them. Then second would be Steve Howe, because he was, when he did the clap, it was incredible. Just to see that. And then of course, Dave Murray and Adrian Smith from Iron Maiden, who are the second coming of Wishbone Ash, pretty much. But a lot heavier and more metal. Those would be my 3.
I wonder if Manny can come up with some
I
British guitarists because it looks like he's seen a lot of American guitarists,
Yeah,
including Toto.
I take it
oh,
back.
yes. Well, you know, it's funny. Technically only one, and actually he's pretty good. Tears for Fears, Roland Orzabal. So he's like one of the lead singers and also lead guitarist. Fantastic.
Yeah.
But sadly, the only British one I've seen live.
I gotta say something. I gotta put this guy before anybody that I said. John Sykes. How could I forget? I'm sorry, John. Forgive me. I worshipped the man. Oh my God. John Sykes was in Thin Lizzy, and then he reunited Thin Lizzy in 2007, and I got to see the was it Scott Gorham? Um, I forget the drummer's name now. The original drummer, um, Mark Mendoza on bass. Why can't I think of the drummer in Thin Lizzy's name right now? God, I should be shot. But John Sykes might have been one of the greatest guitar players I've ever seen in my life. And he did Thin Lizzy to the T. And I wish they could have kept that going. But unfortunately, it was just one tour. So John Sykes was the greatest British guitar player I've ever seen. You know.
So that brings us up to the next one, which is your top favorite non-British lead guitarist. And I had to create this category so that there was an opportunity for the little guy, not the little guy, for the guy from that little band in Canada to make the list for you, Cheech. Who are your favorite non-British lead guitarists? One,
That
two, three, as many as you want.
Number one, I would say Alex Lifeson.
How many times did you see Rush in concert live?
I'd say about 7 or 8.
That's crazy.
Yeah, from Grace Under Pressure, Power Windows twice, Presto, Roll the Bones twice, Counterparts, and then what's the other one? Test for Echo twice.
Wait, did you see him on? You said Subdivisions, right? Like the first one.
I didn't know. I was too young. I mean, I wasn't young. I was like,
You said Grace Under Pressure.
yeah, I saw great. Yeah, great. I was just in high school. My ninth grade.
Dude, how was he in Grace Under Pressure?
Oh, amazing, amazing. But I didn't know much because I was still a kid. I was playing bass like I literally 2 or 3 weeks. So, when you have a bass and you're learning and you're just like boom, 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 you don't know what you're doing. So, just watching them, I was just like, oh wow, this is Rush. I wasn't paying attention to Geddy Lee playing bass. I was, but I didn't get it yet, until when I got a little older. So non Warren Haynes, God, yeah. Warren Haynes from Government Mule, the Allman Brothers. Dickie Betts too. I seen Dickie Betts, Joe. So Warren Haynes and Dickie Betts. Oh my God, Gary Rossington. I seen Leonard Skinner. So I would definitely say in those would be my top three. Forgot about Gary Rossington. God, that was a good show.
Did Manny go?
Not yet.
Do you have any non-British lead guitarists that impressed you?
Yes. Going in order. I'm gonna go in order. Actually, taking me back to memory lane. Neil Young. He is so good live. This was back in 2011. I don't know if any of you see Neil Young live. It's just that he can jam. He I don't know if he would count as a jamming band, but if I had to guess, that's jams
Oh,
with
oh
crazy.
yeah, Down by the River. That's a jam band right there.
Yeah, yeah, and just it's fantastic hearing the solos. Like the best one is when he cranks the riff to "Hey Hey My" into
Yeah,
the bam 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 bam. Like it's fantastic.
yeah.
Andrew Buckingham. First time I saw a virtuoso guitar player and his unique picking style.
Hmm.
So good. It's so hard to describe what I was hearing in MSG, but fantastic. He's probably one of the most because Lizzie Buckingham is I think an underrated guitar player
Yeah.
and also probably one of the greatest at the same time.
Right.
I heard it. I was like, whoa, that's insane. The way he was like playing, like kind of like this picking style. And then I'm not sure if this would count, but actually I got two more recently. Toto, the lead guitarist of Toto.
Yeah. What's his name?
And
Steve Lukather.
Lukather. I was gonna say
let
yeah.
me tell you, man, fantastic. One of the most cleanest tones I've ever heard. And the way he's like playing, I was like, man, like I don't think the crowd here recognizes like the talent this
Yeah.
man has, because they just wanted the songs like Africa, like, you know.
Yeah.
But you heard some of the early Toto stuff. He's
Hold the Line is one of my favorite songs, like radio songs of all time.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. And actually made me go back to the first Toto album, which is fantastic. And then doesn't count, and I wish he played more lead, Springsteen on this classic Toto.
Oh, I'm discovering that now, writing these episodes. That guy is a killer. He's a beast on the guitar.
He's not the most technical, but beast. Like he's like the more masculine
And
playing. Like
he has a rhythm that nobody has, that chugging. Nobody has that, which goes back to the early 50s guys and Tommy Gunn, don, 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 that kind of,
yeah.
you know,
Well,
cool.
my favorite non-British lead guitarist, number 3 is John Frusciante of the
Oh,
Red Hot Chili
love
Peppers.
Great
yeah.
choice.
I love my Red Hot Chili Peppers.
He is a great guitar player. He's very rooted in the 70s.
You know what's funny? John Frusciante is another one that's so criminally underrated. He plays some of the most hardest guitar riffs. Like he's such a master of the
And
riff. And dude, Flea, one of the great bass players.
yeah, but for John, how do you say his name? I'm gonna mess it up. John
Frusciante.
Frusciante
John Frusciante.
plays a Stratocaster, and and that's a unique blend with Flea's Music Man bass, going back to early Chili Peppers. And then you got Chad Smith, who's a beast on the drums,
Oh, we'll
and
get to the drummers next.
no one in the world does like Anthony Kiedis. He's a rapper and a singer at the same time, almost like Della Roach, but Zach is more of a rapper. Anthony Kiedis sings, like Under the Bridge, really good vocals.
Yeah. When I saw the Chili Peppers in Washington, D.C. at the baseball stadium, um, they were having some technical problems with John Frusciante's foot pedals. So they had some technical issues that kind of delayed the show a bit, during it while they were trying to fix it. And I think that when the Peppers were a lot younger, they used to get very angry. They used to like really take it out on their techs and, the sound man and the whole bit. And it was just very interesting that Frusciante knew he's having these problems and they had to stop the show and get some, things corrected. And it basically what they did was the 3 guys got together on stage and they were talking it out. And all of a sudden you saw them all hug. They had like a group hug. And Chad Smith would stand behind with the drumstick up in the air. They just talked it out. And, instead of being angry, they got over it and continued the show.
Yeah.
But that was my only disappointment of the show, was that normally John Frusciante gets like 2 or 3 minutes to do a short classic song. And it could be an ABBA song. It could be a Simon and Garfunkel song.
Mm-hmm.
Because of these technical difficulties, they didn't give him those 2 or 3 minutes, to be basically singing acapella and acapella,
Right.
and play with his guitar, because he would just do it by himself, and that would give Anthony Kiedis, time to rest his voice, take a break, and I guess because the stadium had a curfew, they had to finish up. But John Frusciante, great talent. Number 2, Frank Zappa.
Well,
Seeing him from the third row in Saratoga. Oh my God.
Manny, he said Frank Zappa. Uh-oh.
I'm not going to say anything else except to talk about him as a guitarist and as a band leader. He does not play solos. He really doesn't. He's very choosy. And when he did it, it was a very short solo and my jaw was on the ground.
You know what he does with his solos? He sculptures them. He's a sculptor. That would be my analogy of how he makes a solo. Like he's sculpting art.
I agree with that, because there appears to be no wasted motion There is nothing wasted. Everything is so concise and so perfect. And he's the perfect performer because when he's finished, you say, give me more, give me more. And that's it.
Yeah.
So
There's
uh,
a great I forget which album where Jack Bruce plays bass on it, and he plays guitar.
Apostrophe.
Yes, that solo is he's a beast on that. He lets loose. He lets loose on that solo.
Wow. Yeah. I'd forgotten that Jack Bruce did some work with Zappa.
Yeah.
That's an incredible pairing.
Oh my God. Jesus, the bass line are in that. God.
So that leaves my number one favorite non-British lead guitarist, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and he was an opening act.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable talent, sense of urgency, played so well. Yeah.
Double Trouble, Tommy Shannon on bass. What a great bass player. Underrated.
Do we have time for another one?
Yeah.
I guess we'll want to conclude right here since we probably went over 2 hours or 3. I don't know. I lost track of time.
Well, Joe, you probably have two categories left, I would imagine.
I have drummers and keyboard players.
Yeah, we could do that quick if that's cool with Manny.
Yeah, like with the drummers, my top 3 drummers I've seen live. Number 3 would be Chad Smith of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. He was incredible, and I listened to a lot of Chili Peppers music before I saw them live, and I was shocked that Chad Smith was doing he was doing more live in concert than he did on the album, doing these really cool triplets and stuff.
Well,
Between
I got to say, Chad Smith, he held himself back in the Chili Peppers. He played with a great bass player who played in Deep Purple called Glenn Hughes. And if you ever see the video out there of him playing in his band, he joined Glenn Hughes' band. He's all over the place. He's a monster, beast.
yeah.
Solid with the Chili Peppers because you can't really go too insane because Lee's already insane. You can't be.
No, and John Frusciante, his riffs. I mean,
Yeah. Oh, he's just a solid. It's solid gets, and he's powerful as well.
I feel like he needs to hold it down with his drums.
Yeah, he does.
My number 2 favorite drummer live. Got to see him. I swear I was only 4 or 6 feet away from his drum kit at the Capitol Theater. Cheech knows who he is, but nobody else is going to probably know him. His name is John Stanier, and he was with a band called Battles. And Cheech might remember that he was in a band before that called Helmet.
Yeah.
And he's known for having a cymbal that's way up, because he moved it up. It's his signature. He didn't want to rely on it so much, and he figured if it was way up over his head, he would use it less. I thought that was amusing. But what I got when I saw him, I mean, Battles is, if you have to look it up, it's like math rock. It's very precise.
Well, Helmet was proggy. Helmet was pretty proggy.
Yeah, and a lot of percussion, and it's just him and a guy that plays organ, and some sound effects from a keyboard, and it's just 2 guys. But this drummer, John Stanier, absolutely incredible. I'm standing there and I'm watching him, and I'm going, "What is that flying around near his drum kit?" It looked like little fruit flies or something. There was something in the air. I couldn't figure it out, and I looked closer, and it was sawdust being created from him hitting the drumstick on the cymbals.
Wow.
He didn't break the stick, but he was actually creating sawdust, and it was like little particulate matter that was going up into the air around him. I thought that was so cool. Favorite drummer of all time coming up. This is no surprise. I'm so lucky I got to see this guy live. The great Ginger Baker.
Oh yeah.
From Cream. And you say, "Oh, past his prime," all that. No, he gets that groove. He was a master, absolutely incredible. I thought he had a great night, playing. What more can I say? Never got to see Bonham, never got to see Keith Moon, but I got to see Ginger Baker.
That's impressive.
Yeah. How about you, Cheech?
Well, We all know who I'm going to say for number one. It's a no-brainer.
No, Cheech, don't say Madonna's
Is
band.
he from a little band in Canada?
No,
For me.
Madonna's drummer. No, the great Neil Peart. No, nothing next to Billy Sheehan bass solo. Seeing that, being seventh row for Roll the Bones, watching that solo was big goosebumps too. It was just, the greatest drummer. Um, God, I've seen so many great drummers. It's really hard to say who. Nico McBain from Iron Maiden, and then again, I keep going back to Asia. I saw Carl Palmer. Got to see him do a solo, and equal. Not. I mean, him and Neil are in the same genre, but they're both beasts. Then I saw Dennis Chambers, who's a funk jazz drummer with Billy Sheehan. And I just sort of a bass player that I saw that I forgot about, Larry Graham from Sly and the Family Stone. I saw him live. I'm trying to think of other drummers that blew me away. Alex Van Halen. So Van Halen,
Wow.
I forget them. But it was with Gary Sharon from Extreme. But I got to see Eddie do Eruption. I got to see Eddie Van Halen, and Alex is a beast. If I go Matt Apps from Government Mule, complete monster. I keep going down the line, and actually Joey Kramer from Aerosmith, underrated drummer, another Chad Smith type of drummer, but the guy did a nice solo. Funky drummer, kind of.
I hear he always had a lot of pressure on him because Steven Tyler was just relentless on him. Steven Tyler used to be a drummer.
And he would tell him what beats to play and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and if he couldn't get it down, Tyler was ruthless with him.
He was
Not very nice.
I've seen videos.
But that's crazy that Steven Tyler is so talented. See, I forgot that he knew how to play the drums.
Yeah. But yeah, I would probably say those guys, Carl Palmer and Neil would be the two that just stood out to me like, oh, gee, ridiculous. Yeah.
Meanwhile, I have to say that on Manny's list is the great Max Weinberg.
Honestly, I'll add one more one, but seeing Max Weinberg still top of his prime, holding it down. Bruce Springsteen calls him the Mighty Max. I think one of the most criminally underrated drummers of all time, and just hearing him everyone in the E Street Band like Gary Talent, um, Roy Bittan, like they're all so beautiful players. Stevie, Little Van Zant, Little Stevie, and just hearing Mighty Max on the drums and seeing a video too, which is crazy. And then actually a legend, Mick Fleetwood. Before I knew who he
Yeah.
was, I saw this eccentric, funny drummer, like, and he did a drum solo.
Yeah.
And he sort of started doing these funny voicings. I'm like, who is this guy? And
Yeah.
he's going like he did a drum solo while I think the vocalists were resting. But fantastic legend, and I didn't realize that he went back to the Peter Greenwood days.
Yeah, so he can play because he Fleetwood Mac, he played his parts. He played what you needed to play for the songs. But back in the Fleetwood Mac with Peter Green, he played like a blues drummer, but he played almost not like a Bonham, but he had a little bit of Ginger Baker in there. He had some fills.
He was really good, and obviously Fleetwood Mac, similar to the drummer to Red Hot Chili Peppers, his style more service the music, but yeah, but I saw him live, so good, such a great drum sound, and such a great image he had, like total eccentric. I saw it before I knew him, and then actually just one more quick mention, shout out for Fleetwood Mac bass player, seeing John McVie.
Amazing,
The
amazing.
legendary John McVie, so subtle. He literally hides away, so you wouldn't think much of it. But just thinking back on it, Anchor and just a beautiful because obviously Knicks and Buckingham, obviously being front woman and front man take over. but you forget McVie and his, you know,
But one of the most famous bass lines is him solo. Boom, boo doo doo, boom, 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 boom. Boom, boo doo 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 doo. You know that build up. I think it's Rihanna, right? When they is that Rihanna? There's a bass solo in there. It's just so they're just solo, you know.
no, that's the
Oh,
chain.
the chain. I'm sorry.
Oh gosh, that dude, talk about like one of the it's like you know how we were talking about iconic drum solos? Like Phil Collins, like do 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 do, or like Rush's Tom Sawyer, dun,
Yeah,
dun, 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 dun.
yeah,
Dude, he nailed one of the most legendary bass solos in the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
ding 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 ding.
Great.
And you saw it live, and that's actually a good thing you mentioned that. To hear that live was so good. And you see Mick Fleetwood holding it down. Dun, 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 he did it.
He
Yeah,
built it with them. Yeah, that they all come in. Yeah, the chain. Yeah,
uh, fantastic rhythm section and legendary players with, you know, and I think did he play with John Mayall, Joe?
yeah. He did. He was all. They were all part of that circuit. They and Joe. We talked about the song that Jimmy Page covered with the Crows. That's a Fleetwood Mac song.
Oh well.
Oh well, they're all on that. Peter Green, Mick Fleetwood, and the bass player, John McPhee. You know that is actually is that Peter Green solo or is I know it's Fleetwood Mac. I think it's Fleetwood Mac. Oh well.
I call them Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac.
Could you imagine they were a hard blues band that turned into like one of the great next to the Eagles, like the greatest
I,
70s
I
pop
would say she's
band.
the greatest, like the Eagles in soft rock, probably
Yeah,
the greatest of them all.
genius, genius. But one of
Yeah.
the hottest singers. I mean, Stevie Nicks was so hot, man, back in the day.
And their album, Rumors, one of the best sound production wise.
Yeah, it's probably the greatest album of the 70s for that genre of like you said, soft rock, regular rock, radio rock.
Soundtrack of my high school years, along with the Eagles and the Steve Miller Band,
Oh
really
yeah.
stuck out. Yeah. So that leads us to the keyboard players.
Hmm.
We're going to give some love to some keyboard players. I'll go first because the first guy you're not going to know, but I really was very impressed by him. His name is Neil Francis, and he's been touring internationally for a few years. And he's kind of like a retro piano player.
Mhm.
Um, I just with a really tight band, and I saw him open originally for Les Claypool at the Capitol Theater, and he only did a 45-minute set. And I was really impressed by him. You know, very, very talented musician. Um, had a chance to see him in a very intimate setting at Caramore in Katona. And when I saw the tickets being advertised, I was like, Caramore is going to have a rock and roll band? Because Caramore is known for having like Yo-Yo Ma and like
Mhm.
cellists and quartets or symphony orchestras. And they had Neil Francis in his, it's a four-piece band, come in, outdoor stage, beautiful summer evening, and it was just so good. It was a great experience. That was the one where I told you, Cheech, that people wouldn't get close to the stage early on because they had all the speakers lined across. And when the bass player, and they had the bass player cranked, was playing, I had never experienced this, but the hairs on my arm were moving.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, it was an incredible like sensation. I was like, whoa, that bass is cranked. Very good show. I recommend if anybody has a chance, go see Neil Francis in concert. He's all over the world. Number two, uh, Manny will know this guy, Tony Banks of Genesis.
Well,
Oh, how did you see him live?
I saw him play at the Carrier Dome in Syracuse football stadium. 50,000 people. They were promoting the Abacab album, and
Oh,
it's what I remember is his playing over anything else. It was like a keyboard night. It was just really on. He really has some very interesting playing. So yeah, Tony Banks. Now leaves me at number one. I don't think a lot of people would argue with this. Billy Joel.
wow.
Billy Joel. Yeah, around
Mo-
1983, I saw him at the Garden, and when he was like really just doing it. I mean,
I mean,
incredible.
he's a multi-talented guy. He's a master keyboard player, one of the greatest songwriters, and one of the greatest singers. So, it's like incredible. He's incredible.
Yeah.
You saw him in peak form. How was that?
What? I'm sorry, Manny.
Saw him at his peak. How was that?
Unbelievable at the Garden. I know that he was doing residencies and he did it over 100 times, at his pace whenever he wanted to, basically. But yeah, 1983. Oh man, I think Allentown had come out. I'm trying to remember what the album was, but he does that song Miami 2017. That's just incredible. And of course, Captain Jack.
Oh
Uh,
God, I love that song. I love that bass line.
yeah, um,
Liberty DeVito, what a great drummer.
yeah, not a weak song in the bunch. And I think it's before MTV, so it was before Uptown Girl. When he went to like a different kind of like I don't know what you would describe Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons type of music as. Like Billy Joel seemed to like gravitate back to like the a cappella singing groups,
Yeah, yeah.
of the mid 60s, or the late 50s. I saw him before that when it was pretty much straightforward rock and roll or just fantastic, beautiful ballads.
Yeah.
And of course, people just lose it during Piano Man.
Oh, I think that song is so iconic for that reason. And you're talking about an Innocent Man album, which
Okay.
was that classic ode to like 1950s rock. Like it's
Yeah. Yeah.
so good. I think that maybe that's the album that was his peak.
And he's got chops on Billy the Kid.
Hmm.
That's
Pops, yeah.
amazing. Chops, man, just ripping.
He tells a story. He really is a very fine songwriter. He's right up there in my book with Neil Young.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Neil Young paints a picture with words, and
And Bruce,
Billy Joel too. Like bottle of white, bottle of red, whatever you're in the mood for tonight.
I'd put him up with
Bruce
Bruce.
Springsteen.
Yeah,
Well, they blew up the Chicken Man in Philly last night.
they did. Um, so you want me to go next?
Sure.
So I got it. Rick Wakeman. You
Legendary.
you know, and I put them together. Rick Wakeman and Tony Kaye, both
Okay.
both of them. Of course, Geddy Lee. But do you consider Geddy a solo? This is like on the line. Is Geddy a solo keyboard player? No. Or you talk, but he played keys. So I would say in my book, he's a phenomenal, great keyboard.
Well, geez, correct me if I'm wrong. He has done keyboard-driven music. I don't. Has he done a keyboard solo?
No.
No, he hasn't. If anything, Eddie Van Halen
Oh,
being.
we did. Well, yeah, Tom Sawyer. Man, you can say that's solo.
You sure?
Yeah, because it introduces the riff, but it's not a solo like Rick Wakeman. So you're right. Yeah, but
As an aside, I think Eddie Van Halen beat him.
yeah, Eddie's a great keyboard player too. But I would say for seeing live, from a live perspective, Tony Kaye, Rick Wakeman, Geddy. Now, does this count? Chubby Checker's keyboard player is a friend of mine named Jim Wacker, and I've seen him play, and I've played with him. So I got to put him up there to actually play with somebody who played with Chubby Checker, and I've seen him play with other people and stuff, and I got to play with a guy who's a beast, who's a legend. So
Yeah, that definitely counts. I mean, I gave you John Stanier as a drummer and
yeah,
Neil Francis as a keyboardist. And those are not household names, but they're hardworking musicians.
and you could check us out on Pottersfield BX with Jim Wacker. Bobby has a whole section of shows we've done with him, and he kills it. He's amazing.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And from my end, sadly, no love for keyboard players, with the exception of when I saw Styx.
Mm.
Keyboard. Oh, up in front. And I'll be honest with you, I've never heard it like the way they did it.
Yeah.
So actually, let me just mention too, but and mind you, it's not the, I don't know if it was the original keyboard player of the band. I don't think it was. No, actually, no, because Dennis DeYoung. Yeah, it was his. I forgot his name, but he was so good,
They do Blue Collar Man because that's all keys.
dude. Yeah, no, and I'm like, I forget how much proggy keyboardy Sticks was.
Yeah.
Like it's classic.
Yeah.
Shout out to the keyboard player who I don't know the name of. Fantastic player in the Christopher Cross band. Fantastic. We're talking about that soft rock cheese keys. Yo, when he starts playing, well, it's not like
Well, I just gotta say, as a side note, and I know Joe made a comment, which was funny, about the Born to Run episode. And I got like maybe 20 minutes to go on that. It's an amazing episode, man. He did a great job.
You too, man.
There's a Manny moment in there that is classic.
Which one is it?
It is historic.
Which one is it?
Impression of the guy from Stone Temple Pilots.
Scott Weiland?
It's equal to Steely Dan.
You know, it's funny. I always say Joe. So.
Joe brought up Bob Dylan. You're doing Bob Dylan and maybe somebody else, but when you did Scott Weiland, I fucking
Riding on the road to the
oh my god!
Why did those guys sing like that? Because it's so good. I think our conversation with Springsteen kind of did that,
Yeah.
where he kind of had this weird vocal inflection. And Springsteen's interesting because he is so wide ranging, but then he gets in this voice where he does that grunge, like
Why the grunge guys? Mainly Eddie Vedder and Scott Weiland, and the guy in Creed. Kind of had that like, you're forcing out something that won't come out.
Can I take you?
Did you do your temps? but I mean, it was a style. It was a style. The style of that, like coming from the throat.
It's strange.
Getty's coming from the nose.
We talked about that because Bob Dylan does something similar where Getty got warmer as the 80s warm up.
Yeah.
But like Bob Dylan and Getty have this thing of like, well, this night is not for rent. Like, and then Bob Dylan with the Maggie farm, like, I ain't gonna go on Maggie's farm no more. Like,
and it could be the nose. They have, not dissing them, but it's the nose. So the vocal is coming out of your nose as well as your voice. It's
right.
Sound. And I think I read in an interview, I could be wrong, Getty was going to get his nose fixed at one point, and he said it may affect his vocals.
Well, it makes sense because actually, Getty, and I get why some people think like Bob Dylan's a bad singer.
Yeah,
I get it because they associate singing with like I think the mid range, right?
But, yeah, like Dickinson he's from the diaphragm, a great singer, like Luciano Pavarotti, right?
I was gonna say Dickinson does the operatic, and you know who else does it? Freddie Mercury.
Oh God, yeah.
Hit the diaphragm. You're right because they're singing from here. Like they're going like that great operatic.
Then you get Dickinson who's singing from the diaphragm, but he's using his throat for the high notes.
Yes.
Metal, a great metal singer like Jeff Tate, Ray Alder. Ray may sing from his diaphragm and some stuff, but like the diaphragm to the throat, so you got the deep coming in, and then the high notes come out. That's amazing.
And just go back to the Born to Run. The reason why we mentioned that, Joe, is because on songs like Born to Run, like Bruce Springsteen sings like that. He's like, "Well, on the streets of oh, way American dream."
Yeah, it's like he's putting in that.
Doing that. Yeah, and mind you, it's so funny. I don't know how Joe would describe Bruce Springsteen singing, but I always picture him as a screamer.
Yeah,
Like he's just screaming, but then you forget that he actually knows how to sing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's a great range, and maybe he invented grunge. One of the
I
influences.
mean, nobody sound like that. I'm trying to go back to like the 50s. You know, I mean, Elvis had his own kind of thing. You know, like
Maybe like one for the money. Two,
yeah,
like,
oh what? Yeah, yeah. That's it. It's that Elvisy thing because Elvis is coming from the throat, but he's got that kind of he's forcing something.
so right now on the Cheech and Manny and Joe show, we're tracking the origins of the grunge. Freedom, or the what I'm gonna rid of concrete.
And it goes to Elvis.
I
I
think, and actually, one more nasally singer. John Lennon was a nasally singer.
he was.
He actually, you know what's so sad? He hated his singing voice for
Oh,
that.
God.
And I'm like, dude, are you serious?
Well,
Like,
he kind of had a big nose.
yeah.
So that, and it's not a diss, it's just the way God made his face. And also the singer in Supertramp. I don't know what he looks like.
Oh yes, yes, yeah, 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 yeah. He literally has that. It's
He,
funny. He has two singers. I
yeah,
obviously like the other guy, the more like Steve Wetton kind of sounding guy.
yeah. But the guy who sounds like Getty.
Then there's a guy, when
Oh,
I was young, life was so wonder. Amigo. You know when they start singing that in the
yeah.
temple?
Love
Oh,
that the logical song.
God.
And I think I always loved him because I remember as like a kid listening to him go, "Oh God, this sounds like Rush, the vocals," you know?
Dude, and another one. Taking a look at my girlfriend, but she's the only one I
Yeah.
got. Like
Well,
that's
now you sound like somebody else who had left the temple.
Well, you know the vocalist for Supertramp just passed away September 6th.
Which
actually, yeah.
Rick Davies. Rick Davies is his name.
is that the guy who sounds like Getty?
No, no, no. It was that it. I think
Yeah.
it was him.
Oop.
Let me see right now. Actually, rest in peace. Actually,
Rick
not,
Davies.
I think
Yeah.
that was him. Yeah.
Oh, rest in peace, man. You had such a great voice. God bless you.
He was 81.
Wow.
Yeah. So, dude, get this. So it was Rick Davies, vocals, keyboards, and harmonica.
And then you talk about sax. They had a great sax sound too. They were so different.
They were like proggy Springsteen. Like they're
Yeah. Yeah, nobody sounded like Supertramp. Nobody had. Oh,
Yeah, so they had the two vocalist attack, right? They had the Roger Hodgson.
and they also had a clarinet. There's a clarinet solo in one of their songs.
no, you know what's funny? Wait, go back. No, Davies was the other singer. Hodgson was the nasally guy.
Okay, so he didn't die.
Right. No, no, no. At least I don't think so. And
Yeah, so
actually,
Davies' voice was deeper than Hodgkinson's, and he usually employed a raspy baritone, which stood in stark contrast to his bandmate's tenor. But he
yeah,
occasionally sang in falsetto.
yeah.
Yeah.
Earlier Supertramp records, yeah, but Hodgson's voice is beautiful. It's like Steve Wetton. Like he's definitely like,
When
the but Davies has that wonderful, yeah, like that nasally voice.
yeah.
So distinctive. He kind of sounds like Getty in tune, kind of like if Getty sing a little slower, like
Well, I think Barbara Streisand mentioned that too. She kind of has a big nose, and a lot of that power comes from your nostrils. Like it's your mouth, your nostrils, and your diaphragm. And somehow the vocal. I would love to ask a vocal coach that. Like, why does the nasal affect some people's voices? And it has to be the shape of the nose.
right.
So pretty amazing.
On a bad day, sometimes I'm listening to music. Bono, Sting, and unfortunately Peter Gabriel sound the same to me, nasally. And I'm
That's
like, oh man, and it's a bad day. That's not
Uh,
fair
I,
to them.
I don't think Bono. I never really had him nasally.
no, but honestly, Bono has a very distinctive voice. Like it's his voice is
Nobody sounds like him. He's
honestly,
you
no nobody.
And then Steve Winwood. You said Peter Gabriel.
I
So
did. I love Peter Gabriel. You know that.
Gabriel, yeah, nasally. I would say yeah, right, Manny.
yeah,
He would fall in that category. Um,
yeah.
and who's the other guy?
Sting.
Sting.
Sting just has a beautiful voice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sting is like also unique and
Yeah,
like to sing like Sting is difficult because
yeah.
I wouldn't be able to copy it.
Like, Roxanne, like that guy's
Yeah,
just,
no, you'll sound bad. Like I'll sound bad.
yeah,
Like
he's just
to turn on the red. Like I couldn't even. I mean, I don't know
no
how he does it. Like it's fantastic.
genius. Andy Summer. Oh my God. Another one like The Edge with that atmospheric sound, and then he could rip a mean solo. You know.
And going back to Bono, Bono has like he has this unique voice where it's like I feel love, oh, like
Yeah,
it's like gospel slash like it's so actually it's very unique. Actually, the more I think about it,
yeah,
He's a tenor like his father. His father loved the opera.
yeah, it's so yeah, it's like a strange operatic, but he's singing in the throat, but it's good. It's
Yeah.
I, I don't think I would describe it nasally.
Bono claims his voice broke when he was singing in the studio "Pride in the Name of Love"
I could see
on the
that.
Unforgettable Fire album. That he was singing so hard and so long one day that he feels like his voice broke, and he's never been the same since. But
that's a mental thing because he's been amazing after that. Joshua Tree,
yeah,
nobody sounds like him.
I can't believe I haven't seen them in concert in 20 years.
Oh wow.
20 years. I've seen them 7 times.
I mean, the one thing that got me upset with them was when they did that Apple album for free. This is right when my CD was coming out with Deep River Meltdown, and they were saying like, "Oh yeah, we're putting this out for free because music should be free." And then all these people were like, "Oh, now all of a sudden, music is free." So but we're like, what about new bands that want to make money? Because we had put our album out on a small label and it was out there on Apple Music. That was the thing, Apple Music and iTunes, and we were getting hits, and we were, people were buying it. But when he said that, it pissed off a lot of bands. Like, this is hard work, going in the studio, spending time mixing it, putting money into it. We were getting money from a label, but like, should not be free. When you're a rich rock star, yeah, you could say that. I was just like, really, like that's messed up.
They caught a lot of flack for that. They'll never do that again.
No,
Yeah,
actually, and I think most of the young people, but most people were like, "How do I get this album out of my Apple Music?" They didn't want it.
yeah,
So sadly, I think that plan backfired on them.
yeah, and it was just like disrespect to all bands that make a living as you know saying, oh, the next Iron Maiden album, it should be free. No, I mean, at that time, nobody was buying albums or CDs. It was all being downloaded, and it's easy to download them for free or whatever. So bands like Maiden would have to tour more, do meet and greets, and charge you $150. That's why tickets were so expensive at one point.
Hmm.
I paid $500, I think, to see Iron Maiden at one time. Like 10 years ago. So it's but now music is completely free anyway. I don't know how much they make off of Spotify. Maybe
Not,
maybe 20 cents. Nobody's make
not much unless you're Taylor Swift.
yeah, Beyonce, Taylor Swift,
Uh,
even Maiden. I look up the stats like when they put out a new album. It's nearly like what they sold when they put out, like Peace of Mind, 4 million, 5 million. Nobody's selling stuff like that now. The rappers are. The kids are buying the rap music and country music too.
yeah, it's been during some come like a string of comebacks.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like I always was on Metallica's side with the Napster thing. When Napster came out and music should be free, I was like, no, it shouldn't. It shouldn't be free. And I was behind Lars, talking about people's livelihoods, and then see, at least with a CD, you had the cover. You still had a cover to hold the tangible thing to look at, see who produced it. Nobody knows who produces these albums. Nobody knows who, and we'll do the Zeppelin. podcast, and we're talking to Andy Johns and Eddie Kramer. We don't know who the new producers are for these bands. Nobody does. These rock bands that are coming out. So I missed that. I missed that on the back of CDs. Forget albums. Albums are a whole other thing. But at least we had CDs at one point in the early millennial, and then Napster came out, and that's where it was the beginning of the end for music. And I don't know what year that was, Manny. What do you think? 2005?
I was like, no, 2000, around
Oh,
2000.
that was really early.
So with the advent of Napster, essentially what it did was that, and then LimeWire also, they pretty much started like pirating music at a level that has never been seen before. And then streaming was introduced. That was I think another blow because
You could burn a CD of all your favorite songs.
yeah, I mean, again, there's the positives is the convenience, but the downside is that
Nobody made money.
but now if you're gonna make music, you're not gonna really make money, but you're doing it for the art.
Yeah, yeah. Or if you're smart, like a lot of these rap guys, you have clothing lines. You have merchandise. You have sneakers that come out, and people buy that, or you sell your T-shirt for $70. So that's where the money is. It's not even in the music anymore.
I think yeah, I agree with you. That's what the smart like people do. And then they build, it's not really about the music, but the image. So think of your Taylor Swifts, think of your Drakes, think of your like it'd be funny a funny episode you two to have you listen to some contemporary music and then give us your notes on it. I think that's a good idea for a future episode. So I'll give you guys some songs to listen to homework. You listen to these songs that are popular and tell me what you think. But yeah,
Well, I mean, I think with modern music, the production is too, like, first of all, when you have AirPods and you're listening to it, you're not getting an album. If you listen to an album on a record player with speakers, that's the epitome of sonic sound. Doesn't
yeah.
get better than that. The CD compressed that. A tape, forget tape was horrible, but a CD was an album compressed. Everything got compressed, but it was crisper. You would hear John Bonham's dings a little bit more on a CD than you would on an album. Now with the earbuds, you're getting more boom and more bass, but you're losing so much sound quality of what the real. I mean, and this is just engineering geek talk. You know what I mean? Like, people don't care about,
No.
like, I don't hear the drums as crisp. I don't hear the cymbals, but you're not getting the full thing that you would have gotten if you heard it on album, because it gets compressed through your phone, through the iTunes. It's not even a radio.
No, and the bass
Put
is
a
what
CD in like a ghetto boxer back in the day, a boom boxer, that shit would be on fire. I mean, don't get me wrong, on those Surrey things, it's pretty good. It's pretty loud. You hear it, but it's not like a radio, a CD player. But I don't know.
we down to on this note, on this another famous tangent.
We didn't go. We didn't go off much. We always do at the end. This was a great episode, Joe.
Yeah,
Joe,
no, this was really
thank
nice.
you. You led the ship. You were Captain Stubing from the Love Boat, man. I love it.
Thank you.
I love just like having this free form and being not being the reading the notes and everything. I love it, man. Thank you for doing that. We got to write more shows together. I'm gonna start working on like the post Zeppelin stuff, like the Firm. I'm dying to do a Firm, and you saw the Firm, so that'll be a great episode to do.
You're gonna make me work hard.
Yeah, I got to get all this conjuring shit out of my head first, because Manny knows I'm obsessed with these stories, and I'm making some nice contacts, and getting some real truths out of some people, and it's really cool for those movies. So, and man, you saw The Conjuring, right? The new one. You said it was.
I'm excited because we'll talk about it on the episode.
You thought it was good, or because I'm hearing mixed feelings on that.
I thought it was good. The only problem is that it's definitely not. There's so much inaccuracies from like a demonology perspective. And also, I suspect that they deviated from the real story. Like,
100,000,000%, yeah.
it's so Hollywood.
And when we put it out, I mean, people will see because like the Smurl haunting is completely different than the movie, you know. But the great thing is keeping the legacy of the great Warrens alive, and that needs to be so. It's so important. Just like music, like listening to Led Zeppelin and young kids listening to Zeppelin. You need to study the Warrens, and you need to know who they were because they are the Beatles of paranormal.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So yeah, I'm excited to do those coming soon. But yeah, and I never listened to any Firm albums, so I think that's gonna be exciting to see my
Yeah,
my take on it is. But
and then
I was going to just say that Jason Bonham is coming back with the Led Zeppelin evening, November 2nd at the Cap. I know that Manny is thinking of going to the Yes Show.
Yep.
You guys ought to think about if you want to get as close to Led Zeppelin as you will ever get to,
yeah,
sonically and performance wise, having Jason Bonham and Mr. Jimmy on lead guitar coming back for the second time in less than a year.
yeah.
It's just incredible.
I may have to add it.
And the movie, it's funny, but the movie I'm looking forward to seeing is Spinal Tap 2.
Yeah, yeah. Talk about that. We were talking about that on the phone. I watched the video of Big Bottom
Yeah.
with
They
Tal.
all play bass.
Yeah,
Thundercat was playing a double bass.
I'm so curious to see where because Spinal Tap is such classic movie, and it became a classic after it was released. We talked about that. Like when it was released, didn't do good in the movies, but on cable, it came out right when cable came out, and it became huge. And all the stories are taken from truths. A lot of these things that did happen, mishaps with these bands. So I'm wondering how can you top that? Just like, not to get back in the horror genre, but there's a movie out there called Jason Returns. It's the new Friday the 13th. I don't know if you heard about that, Manny.
No.
Yeah, I hope it's not an AI thing messing with me, but it could be. But like, if it is, like, how do you top Friday the 13th and even Spinal Tap 2? Like, they got to have some good moments because Spinal Tap 1 is one of the greatest comedies ever. They got to really, you know, like, I don't know what they could do to Didn't they do one about folk music too, Joe? The same.
Yes.
That
A
was
Mighty Wind.
that was amazing. That was amazing. Yeah, that was funny.
I haven't seen it yet. I've got to go see it.
Oh
Yeah.
no, that's old. That's an old movie.
Mhm.
I've seen that. Yeah, forgot about that. So look forward to these movies. So, but anyway, Joe, thank you for
No, thank you. That was pretty good. Like I loved it.
right. And I'm gonna work on the firm. We'll work on that, and then we got some horror episodes coming up. Ed Kemper's coming up, and more Bruce Springsteen. I got The River, and I got Darkness on the Edge of Town written.
We're gonna be busy till the end of 2025 on
Oh
the
yeah,
Manny and Joe show. I love it.
yeah, yeah. And we got it. We got to. I want to start Genesis at some point too. I want to start.
Oh, Joe, we're gonna invite you on that one. So you're gonna have to listen to Genesis with us.
You know what? I don't know if I'm going to do that one. I don't think I'm knowledgeable enough. I love Peter Gabriel, from the live standpoint, but I don't know all of the music. I have to really dig deep into the theatrical Genesis.
Maybe we should do Peter Gabriel's the Salisbury one.
Joe, would you want to do like the first solo record?
Maybe.
Okay. We could do that. I think it's funny. I was listening to Peter Gabriel solo stuff. It's fantastic.
I heard at the temple. Like when we did the show last week, the next day I heard that Salisbury. Like what unbelievable.
Great song. Very strange coming out from him in terms of the sound, but yeah.
Yeah. But all right, guys, we'll wrap it up. This has got to be 3 hours right now.
Yeah, this is warm. This is like a live radio show right now.
Live stream sometime, it's like this is like a live. Is it worth the 3 hour mark? Easily, right?
I
Right.
think so. I think so. But it's like three friends on a radio show right now.
And this is like, I think this might be the longest show we've done. This might beat the basement tapes.
By the way, Joe, we have no idea why that episode's 4 hours long.
I don't even remember what we talked about. It was like I researched hours, and then we had a lot of great points on it. It's a great show.
I'm proud of it because we dissected that album in detail.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to find out basement tapes, you just watch that.
Yeah, and we're close to 60 now. I think, right? We're getting really up there.
You know what, Cheech, as an aside, we should do an episode on The Exorcist.
Believe me, I'm working on not The Exorcist, but the real story of the little boy.
Yes, and I'll be providing the like philosophical, theological insights.
I just started research on that, on the little boy, because it's not about a girl.
Right, like the true story, and maybe we could talk the movie a little background, like on some of the aspects.
Right, and a friend of mine is, the thing I was researching was the lesser key of Solomon, where a lot of those, I'm not going to say what they are, those characters are, according to some people, fictional, like mythology, and only from the Holy Bible those characters could come out. But I don't know. That I wish somebody would really answer that for me. I'm gonna go knocking at the rectory at Our Lady of Mercy right now. That fucking.
Well, I can give you the biblical perspective on what's real. I mean, we can talk about it in the episode. We don't talk about it right now, but
yeah.
But gentlemen, this was fun.
Yeah.
And I'll say long live rock and roll. And for all our subscribers up there, please give this video a like. If you're new to the channel, give us a like, subscribe if you like what you see.
And thank you for all our younger fans, for all the great
Shout out to the young fans. Keep rocking. You guys drive me crazy, but you guys keep rocking. And then for any of Joe's questions, comment below. Offer us your opinion because we would love to hear what you have to say. Join the conversation. And thank you.
Great questions, Joe. I mean, amazing, man.
But are we going to do our top 10 concerts ever that we saw live?
We didn't even go there yet, right? You're right.
That's the only thing left on my list.
This is an ongoing series.
The third 10-hour installment of the
It would probably rival the Led Zeppelin top 10 song.
I would think so, yeah.
Oh, yeah, because we didn't even we just talked about musicians right now. And our yeah. So that'll be this will easily be a 7-hour split episode.
Joe Show madness.
You don't need to take NyQuil. Just put this podcast on, when you're 3 o'clock in the morning. It's going to be 6 hours long.
You people out there, don't take NyQuil. Don't take Benadryl. Put this podcast on the People's Podcast and go right to sleep.
By the 4th hour, you'll be passed out. Dream.
You'll wake up and we'll still be talking.
Dreaming about Supertramp and
doing Eddie Vedder impersonation.
Yeah, exactly. But great time as always, guys. And we'll do the third installment of this. Look forward to that and have a good time, Joe. I know you're going away.
Sir.
When you get back, we'll be doing. Yeah. But we got a lot of we got a lot of stuff coming up.
I'll be doing a pilgrimage to Liverpool.
Amazing.
I'm doing the touristy thing at the British Isles, and we're going to visit Liverpool and go on the Beatles excursion.
That's beautiful.
Nice. All the landmarks.
Oh, that's amazing. I know somebody that did that. They went to Abbey Road. Yeah.
So when we invite Joe when he returns and we invite him back, he'll talk about it on the show.
Definitely.
I'll have a British accent by then.
Yeah, right.
We'll have the Liverpool accent.
Go to the End and do the Iron Maiden tour.
Oh, man, fucking
know what they're saying. In the Iron Maiden documentaries, they have, and they put the words underneath it.
Cheech, I was watching the making or like a great documentary. I did not understand a word Steve Harris said. I'm
Yeah.
like, wait, what? Like,
And they put the words on it. And Steve Harris is very soft spoken too.
yeah,
He's a loud guy, and especially Deanno. We talked about that in the episodes. Like,
not understand at all. And it's funny because he looks like a scary motorcycle gang member. Like,
yeah,
he gained a little weight tonight. He looks more imposing.
yeah.
Yeah, the way they talk, it's like, yeah,
Well,
they're like,
I get a lot of customers, and I'll say, "Where are you from? Yorkshire? Are you from the Midlands, Sheffield?" And they're like, "How do you know?" I'm like, well, Def Leppard's from around there, you know. They're like, "Oh, that's how you judge an accent, huh?" I was just talking to somebody who was from Yorkshire about the Yorkshire Ripper. They're like, "Ari, how do you? You're an American. How do you even know about that?" It's crazy. I don't know. Anyway, guys, gotta get to bed. I have a wonderful day ahead of me tomorrow. Look forward to not. And we'll see you guys on the other side. Joe, thanks again. Amazing, amazing show.
thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
Have a good night, man.
Take care.
Peace out.
Rock and roll to the next one. Have a good night, guys.
All right.
Later.